It's useless to try and explain it to you. You wouldn't understand. It all seems so absurd, so fantastic. All I can do is get away from here as soon as possible.
Susie Banyan, our new student. Welcome to our academy.
Something terrible, truly horrible has happened. One of our students was murdered last night by some madman. It's a frightening story.
Poor Pat.
I was Pat's friend.
That poor kid ending up like that. I can't even think about it.
She was telling me something when you suddenly showed up.
I heard you saw her yesterday evening.
She was saying things that made no sense.
She got scared and she ran away. And then she was killed.
A lot of strange things are happening.
They lied to us. Listen. She's the directress. She's here. Susie, wake up.
It doesn't seem to me that they're going out. The front door is on the left. Their footsteps are going to the right, somewhere inside the school.
Maybe we can find out where they really go.
Do you believe in witches?
They are malefic, negative and destructive. They can cause suffering, sickness, and even the death of those who have offended them.
Welcome to our academy.
Hello, everyone. We are here. I'm excited. So excited. Never mind the date on the end of that trailer, but I wanted to get a really cool trailer that kind of had lots of bits for anyone who hasn't seen the film. So, and yeah, we are back. It's been a long time, but I feel like good things come to those who wait, right? So
Is your is your audio on pretty loud?
is it?
We never did a sound check. I should have asked for a sound check.
Am I really loud?
No, I can't hear you very well. Can you hear very well, Jenna, or is it me?
I can hear everyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
I can
fine.
hear you fine, but yeah, we're techie. Okay, so yeah, we have obviously all three of us back again. Jenna looking amazing. Love the outfit, by the way. It's very nice.
I'm ready for like Halloween time. I'm ready for it.
Bonnie's repping the merch.
Oh yeah, wearing my Suspiria shirt in honor of the movie.
Yes. Can everyone else? Yeah, it sounds like everyone can hear us, so we're good.
Okay, cool.
So we chose, well, this movie, I guess I kind of chose and then got the girls to come join because I thought, Jenna, you hadn't seen this film before, right?
I saw it once in bits and pieces with an ex-partner around like 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really recall it that much. And as I watched it, it came back to me.
Back to you.
But yeah, it was interesting watching it now, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
I thought like we'll get to the cinematography stuff later, but I thought you would very much appreciate a lot of that as well. So I wasn't sure if you'd seen it or not, but I was like, I'm sure she will get the vibes. So so anyway, so we're here today. We're talking about Suspiria, the 1977 film by Dario Argento, not to be confused with the remake And we're not going to talk about the remake here. I'm not going to say it's a bad film or a good film. It's a totally different film. That's how I'll describe it. And it's got, I mean, it's got Tilda Swinton in it, who's amazing, who plays 3 characters. So it's worth seeing on its own. It's got Mia Goth in it, who's one of the girls we always visit on this show. Yeah, so definitely worth a watch, but a very different film to this one.
And also, just a quick thing, the filmmakers that did that, the newer one, they said it's not a remake, it's an homage. So they even said themselves, we're not redoing this fabulous movie from the 70s. It's just our little homage to it because we love it.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Pretty much. But very different, very different. Dark.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like it's darker, and yeah. This is very red and purple and pink, and that's very brown and bone and white. So kind of like, yeah, very different palette, very different kind of, I guess, meaning. Anyway, back to this one. So yeah, yeah, I'm a massive Giallo fan. So I've gone through many phases of just rewatching and watching all of the Argento films. I really love Argento. And this is probably one of the ones that has always stuck with me that I really love the most. Yeah, when Argento, I guess, he kind of took this film and took like the familiar kind of mechanics of Giallo, like the murders, the clues, the investigation, looking for the hidden kind of truth. But then he pushed it in a direction that was completely different, which was, going towards more the supernatural, which he hadn't really delved into before. So this kind of, I guess, this kind of move was a way for him to kind of abandon like the logical side of things, which every Giallo has very set formula. Eventually everything has an explanation. Where I feel like this is very much going out of left of field. And yeah, so one of the things I think it's important to mention, especially for people who haven't seen the film, or even if you have, Suspiria was originally, it was written by Dario Argento and Dario Nicolodi, who was his partner at the time. And it was originally conceived to be, the characters were meant to be children, and the film was sort of meant to be for children. So the actresses, like they were supposed to be 8 to 10 years old, but obviously the studio, due to the violence and the nature of the film, said absolutely no way. So he had to change it to adults. But even though he changed it to adults, he didn't change the script. So when you kind of know that and then watch it again, you can kind of pick that up, because some of the dialogue is very childlike, and like it's almost very simplistic at times. And then when you kind of think, hey, this was meant to be said by an eight-year-old, then it kind of makes sense. And then there's lots of, I guess, other little things that sort of, once you know that, you can kind of see it everywhere. So little things like the door handles, a lot of the door handles are at head height. And that's like an adult head, right? Which is kind of bizarre. So it almost gives you that like Alice in Wonderland vibes. So everything is very, very, outside of what would be real. And all of the adults, obviously, they're very much control the situation. And then the girls are obviously kind of under their control. But in that sense, they're adults in this way around. So I think that's kind of something that's very kind of different, that you don't really, I guess, think so much as. So often when the women are like interacting with them, you can kind of see the way everything is set up. It appears that they're smaller than the others. So obviously all the rooms, the building, everything appears very large, and kind of like all the girls seem quite small, even though you can clearly tell they're all like 20s and year-olds and 30-year-olds. But amazing anyway. So yeah, a lot of the rooms, the corridors, the architecture were all meant to feel very oversized, very vast, and like very overwhelming. And that kind of sort of giving the feeling that there's like they're trapped inside a world controlled by adults. And so he left that in. And a lot of the visual like representation came from Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So, and there's a particular kind of Technicolor dye transfer printing process that they used on that. So that was something that was really important to the film. And the lab that actually used that technology was closing down when this film was being made. And he begged them to stay open enough, just long enough for him to finish the film. So thank you for that, because I mean, I can't imagine this film without the color and without the way it looks. So that's such a huge thing that I think most people like love about this. And then of course, aside from, everything around the way it looks, around, you know, the vastness, the unrealness. You then have the soundtrack, which is also created all around the film and the imagery. So the film and the I guess the soundtrack, they kind of were written, I guess, in unison. So Goblin created the soundtrack around the film, and Argento kind of worked really closely with them. And he often played the score while they were filming on set, or just on set in general. So you kind of liked the way it was supposed to be kind of, you know, unsettling. And one of the things I noticed a lot when I rewatched it today was like the whispering. Like I don't remember the whispering being as intensely loud as it was this time around. But like there's you know, and I've probably seen this film like 15 times or something. So, and I still feel like every time I still like feel like I'm seeing something again. But that could just be because I'm getting old and the memory's going. But like still, you know, yeah. So anyway, and one of the other things that I think is really important, and one of the things I think a lot of people overlook with this film, I guess because it is a giallo film, and giallo is, you know, typically very much a male dominated field, I guess. But yeah, this was, you know, in the 1970s, and this is pretty much like very, very female centered film. The majority of all the cast were female. Now, in the remake, I believe every single person in the film is a female in the remake version. But yeah, there's obviously a few males in this one. But for a 70s film, it was pretty out of character to have such a large female cast, especially a cast that's playing not only the villains, you know, the side characters, and also the hero. So it was kind of everything around the story, you know, was essentially built around women. So, you know, normally a lot of the time women are on the edges, I guess, more so than anything else. And Argento kind of made a lot of his films after this as well, like very much made it seem, I guess, that he brought women back into the universe and kind of, you know, they're not on the edges anymore and they become the entire universe. So I think that's something I like about it as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to quickly mention, in case anyone doesn't know this one as well, because it took me a long time to learn this.
No, I
when
love
did
this.
learn
I'm
it,
learning so much right now. I'm like, wow, this
yeah.
is great.
So, well, this is like obviously this is just running off of my notes because I'm a nerd and I love
This
this
is
film so much. I was
amazing.
like, I
Thank
have to
you.
mention some things. So one of the other things that's really interesting about the film is the kind of mythology around it. So the mythology is, I guess, the easiest way to explain it is Suspiria, you know, it works perfectly well as a standalone kind of film. Um, but it actually is the first chapter in what Argento called the Three Mothers trilogy. So the first film is Suspiria. The second is Inferno, which I think you would love as well if you haven't seen it, Jenna. I know Bonnie has.
Oh yeah.
And then the third one is The Mother of Tears, which came out in like the 2000s. But the one everyone probably knows the most, obviously, is this one and Inferno. So basically, the mythology, they came up with it halfway kind of through the actual creation of Suspiria and then afterwards, and that's when it kind of kicked in. So the mythology is built around three ancient kind of supernatural figures, which are witches. So you've got Mother of Sighs, which is the one in Suspiria. Then you have Mother of Darkness, which is from the Inferno, and then Mother of Tears, which is from the Mother and Tears one. Which the Mother of Tears is has his daughter in it as well, but it's definitely one of the more disappointing of his films, I will say, which is a shame because I think it was just too far apart. Like 1977, 1980, and then the third of in 2007, it kind of just didn't hit. Doesn't look the same, doesn't feel the same, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of that is kind of there's so much lore around this film in general, so there's a lot to like kind of unpack. But yeah, it all kind of, I guess, you know, starts. It's 1977. An American girl called Susie arrives to a very prestigious German dance academy, and then, you know, obviously everything is very beautiful, candy colored, you know, something really beautiful, but there's something very like kind of supernatural and deadly going on. And of course, like, you know, we've got this really dramatic, operatic kind of visuals and violence and colors and all that. So you kind of know from the beginning, I feel like, when she's arriving that there's something going to happen. And I love that kind of lead in. So I feel like, when you kind of mix all that together, it kind of, the idea is, to make, I guess it tries to bring you into the film, make you feel like you're trapped inside that dream or nightmare, as you might feel. So yeah, that's Dario Argento's Suspiria, kind of in a very short little nutshell with a little bit of trivia. But yeah, I'm super excited for this one, and I'm really pumped to have everyone on again. And it's been too long, and I'm glad we're back. So now that I've jibber jabbered for a while.
Yeah, I love when you put in trivia, because like this is one of my favorite horror films of all time, and just to add some fun little tidbits to the trivia that you already kind of mentioned. The co-screenwriter is Daria Nicolodi, who was Dario Argento's partner, and they had a child named Aja Argento, who I think a lot of people know. She's a famous actress and filmmaker in her own right. But this was based off a dream that that I believe Daria had, where part of it, the exploding, oh, by the way, spoilers, so if you haven't seen this, we're probably going to mention some spoilers, but there's an end scene where the academy, there's lots of explosions and stuff that came from a dream that she had. But also her grandmother told her a story. I think it was her great grandmother told her a story of this mysterious music academy that she had gone to as a child to learn how to play piano, and she went for one lesson and then ran away from it because she was convinced it was run by witches, black magic witches. So that was another influence of this as well. And just to go back a little bit more with Goblin, who does the soundtrack to this movie, when they were filming, Argento actually played the soundtrack at full volume to freak out the actors, because I don't know if you know this, but with many Italian horror films, especially with this one, they didn't actually film the dialogue as it's happening, like you would see, in a boom mic where they would record a normal movie. They dub it later. So you could have people doing construction in the background and you would never hear it because there's no mics on the set, because they're just going to dub the actors later, put all the sound effects in later, all of that. So he would play it during their breaks. He would play the soundtrack at full volume during scenes. And it's just interesting to me that the music meant so much to this director that he wanted to have Goblin's full volume to startle a lot of the actresses and actors that were working on this film. And you mentioned some great history of the three women, because this is the first of a trilogy. But if you go back even further, of the essay prose, that this is sort of based off one of the short stories, one of the short poems from there. That was an author who wrote a whole series of things about basically art through opium. And so there's a lot of hallucinogenic drug kind of references in this movie. It is feel like a fever dream for those of you who have ever partaked in LSD or mushrooms, or had maybe even just a fever dream. Maybe you're just sick and you had an hallucination. This is supposed to feel very much like a very colorful hallucination. And I know we'll get into it later with all of our notes, because we're nerds. We all took volumes of notes while we're watching this movie about color and what does that represent, and what do the different rooms represent, and what are the ways they shot this represent, because it is meant to be seen on a wide screen. It is beautifully shot, as you said. I always say, when I tell people to watch this movie, because we would always play this in the background at raves and at dance clubs that I danced at a lot, because it's so cinematically beautiful. And every shot feels like it could be an art piece in a museum, because it's so, you could just hit pause and it's beautiful. Like every scene just feels like a work of art. But I do love that this movie originally was supposed to be cast by kids. Now, I will say it wasn't meant to be for kids. It was just meant to have all the actors be under the age of 12, because it was supposed to, except for, of course, the teachers. All the ballet students were supposed to be 12 or under. But because, the censors, even in Italy, and also they want this movie to be, well sought out across the globe. So you can't necessarily have these types of violent scenes with children. So I know why they did that. But I do love that they kept the script as is. And I do love that it does feel very childlike, very Alice in Wonderland. But also that the cues, like having the doorknobs high enough where all the adults still have to reach, like they're reaching for a doorknob above their head, if they were a small child, that really does kind of jar you when you start to notice these little things that look like, wait, is this a real thing? Like, why is everything so tall? Whereas everything looks so jarring, and the vivid colors look so stark. And I think it does kind of reminiscent of a dream or a nightmare where things are very vividly colored, including the blood, because blood in this film blood doesn't really look that bright red the way it looks every time. I think if you watch horror films, more modern horror films, they try to make it look more realistic, but because this does, yeah, it's so bright and it feels like paint in a way, so you do feel like it's art. Yeah, it's like paint blood. So I love that.
There's that image where they have the splattered blood coming down from the hanging body, and then it's like an art piece. It literally is.
Yeah.
And you've got, I
do love that
with the thing in her head. Like, oh yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
And I do love too that the main actress is an American, because she was, ironically, this actress was supposed to be in Annie Hall, and of course took this movie instead. And Annie Hall took the, as we know, famously won the Oscar for Film of the Year. But I would say, like, I love that it's an American because it's a fish out of water story. A lot of the actors in real life didn't know English. And so there was a lot of translation issues. But if you were wanting to be at the most prestigious ballet school, you get a scholarship, you're going to the middle of nowhere, or at least in a town you've never been to before, and you do feel like a fish out of water. I think this movie that really shows also what it's like to go to a ballet school that's highly competitive. Usually the instructors are not American, especially if they're Bolshoi, or if it's, it could be Russian or German. They're strict as hell. You're going to bleed in your shoes. I can say from experience being in ballet, and I had a Russian instructor who did not believe in lamb's wool should go into point shoes. So let's just say blood and dancing are kind of like, they go hand in hand for sure, or foot and foot, I should say. But I love this movie. It's got great history to it. It's cinematography at its best. It's storytelling at its best. The visuals are gorgeous. The acting's amazing. Every single time. I've watched it probably over 200 times. And I will say, every time I watch it, I catch something different that I didn't catch before, because I'm getting older, or maybe I'm paying attention to something I never paid attention to before.
Both of you,
so, like,
maybe it's because I'm getting old.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop babbling, but I just wanted to add to the lore of that and how fascinated I am with this film. But also, I'm just so glad that people are rediscovering it. Like right now, you can stream it for free on Tubi. It's on Canopy. If you have a library card, you can watch it that way. It's streaming everywhere all the time.
The remastered is on YouTube as well now.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. And also, I highly recommend, I'm saying this in every movie podcast I do, please consider buying it on Blu-ray or DVD as physical media, because streaming is a mess right now. And sometimes you just want to watch this movie and you can't find it anywhere because of distribution rules, or because streaming had it for 1 month where you subscribe, but now it's somewhere else where you have to subscribe again. And that adds up, and we're all poor. So it's like, well, I shouldn't say we're all poor. I am. So I'm just buying things and keeping it. But I'm a big proponent of keeping and buying and keeping physical media, just because digital, you just don't know what they're going to do to it. They may alter it. They may change it. They may not make it available for months anywhere. So just buy it on Blu-ray somewhere. I'm sure you can find it, like even in like a Goodwill or a thrift store or a charity shop. I've had 3 different copies of it. I think I still have it on Laserdisc even, and VHS. So
look at you. You are such a fan.
I love this movie. I discovered this movie when I was in ballet in junior high. So when I was in ballet in elementary school and junior high, I discovered this movie, and it fascinated me that a ballet movie could be a horror film, but also a film about sisterhood, but also about how not all women are there to protect other women. And it's definitely an interesting movie on different fronts. So I love it. So anyway, I'll let Jenna talk now, but I just wanted to babble a little bit. And also, can I say I'm so excited we're together again? I missed you ladies so much.
Yay, I missed you guys too. I mean, I don't know. I just watched it like right before we did this right here. So I just watched it like a couple hours ago. I don't know what to say that you guys haven't said. Like, I'm learning so much. I feel like I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Because, like, literally, I watched it once, like, 15 years ago. And now I'm watching it again. I don't know. It was beautifully, like, the music was so intense. Like, it was, and I like the way it would be very intense and then it would just shut off all of a sudden. And it would, like, go to something else. And I think that was very jarring. I don't know. I also like have new speakers in my ceilings that I put in like a year or two ago or something. And like, I don't know, the sound was very good the way that it was done with the whispers and everything, like you were saying. And I was just like, wow. I'm glad I watched it during the daytime though. But I don't know. I have a lot. I think the lighting was really just really, really gorgeous. And like you said, it's like an art, like a painting almost each time. It's just beautiful. The panning shots, the way that they would like pan from one thing to another, like the fluidity in it was just really beautiful. And I loved watching it knowing that like this is all like real done by artists. Like every bit of this is done by artists. You know what I mean? Like none of this is computer done. Like this is all like just amazing, very, very talented fucking people. So, and yeah, and I don't know, it was very, I liked it. I really, really liked it. I think that it's definitely a classic. But I think I don't know, like learning the kids stuff was, I don't know, very interesting. Like, oh, it felt very druggy to me. It felt very like psychedelic. It felt like very like druggy, psychedelic, witchy. I don't, the ending was very abrupt though, like all of a sudden, like I just was kind of like, oh, it's like over, like, and then I was like, well, there's like a part 2, right? And then I was like, no, I guess there is, now that you guys say there's these other ones.
Well, that's something I guess I could have said. The films don't really like follow a thing, so you find out in the next.
I felt like there was a lot of slow build up, and then all of a sudden at the end it was like and then like nothing, and then I was like, okay, but I wanted more. It left me wanting
that's
more.
very like, I guess like a lot of like especially Italian horror films. It's very much about the building and the suspense, and then it's kind of like that big shock, like bit at the end. So I think like it's kind of it's
and then all of a sudden there was just credits, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I want more.
Yeah,
I was like, it's also a bit like waking up from a nightmare or a dream suddenly, that you don't get that finality to it, because it's like when you wake up suddenly from a nightmare or a dream, and it's like that. For me, that's what the ending felt like. I agree with you. It was abrupt. Like I was like, wait. Like I just
yeah. I was like, hey, wait, movie. Like we were just going.
Well, you know, when you are having a dream and you're like going, and you're having a dream and you go into all this amazing detail, and then suddenly it's gone,
just weird,
and you're like,
and
where the hell?
strange.
And you're like, where did it go? Where? And then it's crazy. There's so much that's so pretty in this film. Like the women are like the women and their hair and their makeup and the outfit. Like Olga is so cool. Like I feel like she's such a baddie, and like and then of course not only have you got obviously the interiors, but the all the furniture is stunning as well.
The use of color is just really iconic, and I don't think that you can replicate this like ever in any way. It's just a very one of a kind film. Like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, like people can be inspired like this, but no one's gonna like create something that's like so iconic and like
A to Z, yeah. Like,
well, yeah, because I see the influence of this film and like stuff that that I've worked on or stuff like I did that music video like a couple years ago, and it was very like disco-y, and it was all about the like bisexual like red and purple or pink and purple lighting that's like throughout this film, and I was like, oh, like this is like. Everything's like a derivative now, I guess. Like nothing is like but this was like I could see where other things have like pulled from it, and and it just the way that I felt like every aspect was just created by like an actual artist. And I think that And today, especially when I see that like all AI, like they're making movies like completely with like written by AI and like done like that, and I'm like, no. So it's just was really great to see the artistry in every like element of this. Like the music was just so good with the whispers and the creepy like, and then it would just stop and I'd be like, I'd be like, come on. And then it would go into like this conversation and there'd be like no music at all, and I'd be like, ah. So I don't know. It's I really liked the way that the music played with the emotions and really tightened and like heightened and just made everything so much more intense. I think that it's just like, yeah, the way that the work of every element together, it's just one of those like one of a kind things that you're never gonna get again with this like combination of artists, and it's kind of like magical to see. And I hope that movie makers and stuff still see stuff like this and want to make things that are
I've gone down a rabbit hole in the last like 6 months of returning to all movies from like the 60s and 70s.
I love this.
I really miss color, like that color. Like I feel like everything is so whitewashed and like very like, I don't know. And if you go back and watch some of these 60s and 70s films, everything about it is so different. It just has a whole vibe to it. Like, I don't know. And like even when I was on one of the other podcasts, like with the boys, I was like talking about it. I was like, I miss when movies meant something. Like when there was kind of, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's not much going on behind the eyes, that's what you say about, and I feel like some of the films coming out today, like they're just, the same kind of, they're just for entertainment's sake, which is totally fine.
And like everybody in this movie had like a unique face, and like they all like looked like them and were so expressive, and like everyone was like natural, and there, wasn't all the plastic surgery and like, well, you've got, I don't know, it just, I don't know.
There's that like little imperfections that are just there that actually, that you don't really see anymore. Like that kind of stuff is usually like kind of, filtered out a little bit nowadays. And any kind of weird little things that even just like strange, like, most, I guess, people would see some of the little bits of the color and go, oh no, that needs to be, you know what I mean? Like we got to color grade the shit out of that. No, leave it alone. But like, so I feel like, there's a lot of that stuff. And I really hope that there will be a resurgence at some point where people want to come back and make films like that. Cause like I said, I've been rewatching a ton of 60s and 70s, and they are still as good now as they were then.
And I need a list. Give me a list.
I will. Because I don't know that there's some films that have come out in, the last 10 years. I don't think that they're going to be that remembered. You know what I mean? And I feel like some of these films,
I feel like I'm bored with a lot of stuff that comes out. So I really enjoyed I'm glad you picked this because it held my attention the entire time. I didn't find myself like wanting to reach for my phone. I was actually annoyed because I was watching it on like Tubi and there was like commercials and I was and it like would stop and I was like, oh. Like,
that's I always watch Canopy because Canopy doesn't have commercials because it's library funded.
I'm
so they
limited on my selections right now. I've canceled most of my subscriptions and I was so psyched when I went on and it was like free to watch on Tubi and I was like done.
Well, I'll just let you know, and the viewer knows Canopy is free. You just need you just need to get an LA or any kind of library card, and it's free. And it doesn't have ads. It's US only. I don't know if Australia can access it. I assume Australia might have something similar.
Yeah, we have something similar.
Okay. So it's ad free. It's always ad free, and they refresh their selection a lot. And they have a lot of old like movies from the 60s and 70s. They have horror films that are silent films. And just to add on to what you were saying before about this movie is so timeless. I'll say, even though there's definitely references to the 70s and the wardrobe and the hair, but I'll say it's timeless because it's before the Hollywoodization and CGIization and AIization of movies now where, I mean, you don't see this in indie horror film, but indie films don't have a lot of money. So you may not see this kind of set design, this kind of costume, this kind of music, because it's an indie film. And I think indie horrors will always have a place in my heart because it means it's more authentic and real than maybe a blockbuster type budget you would get for other horror films that are great and they're popcorn horror films, but they're not going to be something you study in film class 20 years from now. Whereas this movie, I mean, like I said, I watched it as a kid. I watched it in the theater. I had a babysitter that luckily was a huge horror fan. So anytime there was a movie, and we lived in a rural Midwest area, so like we would go to like places that they would show these films, and they would show these films as the midnight movie, kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I was able to see this a lot as a kid, and then as a teenager. And then of course, when, you know, the beginnings of cable TV happened with HBO and Showtime, I think they started showing it. They showed it at my college. I was got to choose movies for what my college played, so I always chose this one. But I remember my ballet teacher telling me about it, and she doesn't even like horror films, and she was really into this movie because of the artistry of the ballet. And she said the whole film felt like an entire ballet to her, not just there's ballet snippets, but the whole thing felt like a ballet. And also in film school, I got this taught to me in film school as the epitome of color, how to use color successfully to tell a story. And then when I became a fan of other filmmakers and creators that cared about color, I think David Lynch is a great example. I mean, just the Red Room alone with those curtains and the red, and he was very conscious of color in everything he did, all of his movies, all of Twin Peaks. And then you'll see other filmmakers that really do care about color and how it's used. So I think this is kind of like a great masterclass movie to watch if you want to see how can I use color in a way to tell its own story, to help further a plot, to help make you feel an emotion of some sort, and differentiate between different ideas in the movie, because there's different colored rooms for different reasons. I think this movie is perfect. And, you know, it does make me a little sad because I am a horror film fan that watches everything. And I do see this trend of these middle grade movies, and I wouldn't even call them indie because they do have a decent budget, but they're just there to be like quick popcorn movies, which are fine. But I miss the artistry of horror filmmaking. I miss having it be a thing that stands alone, but also it's not just a genre film. It's a film that stands perfect as a film, not just as a horror film. So, you know, when you look at movies that started to use color in a way that was very experimental of its time, like Wizard of Oz, like the original Wizard of Oz, their use of color. I mean, there's reasons certain things have different colors in that movie, but it's so gorgeous to watch, even today, decades and decades after that movie had been made. And also just seeing this movie now compared to stuff that's out there that everyone raves about. I don't think these movies that people rave about today, people are going to still be talking about them in 50, 75 years. They'll probably forget about them because something else will attract their attention. But this always stands out to me as a timeless classic. And I'm glad that we're talking about it today because it is one of my favorite films. But it's a film that you could talk about forever because there's so many different themes and things to take from it. And every viewer is going to have a different experience. So I love this movie. There, I'm done.
I was like, she's gonna get it out. Let it get it out.
I'm sorry, I went on that rant.
No, I love that. I love that you said like it feels like a dance. Like I wrote here that like the iconic opening music and the way that they weave the kind of the movie together throughout it feels like the buildup of like a dangerous dance. And I appreciated that with the, you know, obvious dance academy that they're at. I will say that I don't know. I think I was a little let down with like the dance sequences. I wanted more from them.
Did you want them to be longer? Did you just want them longer?
Like, I think because I do love the remake or the inspired one of it that was made in like what 2018 or whatever.
Which has a lot more dance and stuff in it.
Yes, which has a lot more dance. And I think I was like expecting more of that. This had more of the like very traditional ballet. That had more of like a
modern.
Yes, kind of. And it was I very much
like interpretive dance vibes.
Yes, I very much enjoyed that about that one. But I also, since I've taken ballet classes, I also appreciated the more traditional one of this that they took. I think it's really interesting like, okay, we pick like a ballet, which is like ballet seen as like the purity of like little like young women and, you know, petite and like, you know, this kind of delicate image, and then you have something such like so nefarious behind it, right? Of like, I really liked that in this, and I got that very clearly in this version or whatever, in the original of this amazing movie. I got that kind of, that sense of like this, like, I don't know, like corruption underneath of this, like, you know, pure sort of like leaning field of, you know, art. And so it was, I don't know, it was like, it felt very like a kind of like a corruption, but I felt like I wanted more witchy stuff too. Like they kind of like drugged her and she got like all weird. And then like some people died. Some people definitely died. And that one stabbing scene was really like gory and good. And I was like, I really liked that one. I don't know. I think because I think we're so trained now with like the new horror movies for them to be like, there's these jump scares and this like, you know, like so much going on that like I kind of loved and hated at the same time, that this movie left me wanting more, because I was like, oh, I want more of this. And then I was like, oh, but it's great that they just like left it like this. Like it's perfect. Like, you know, it's like a weird feeling how I felt at the end of it. I was like,
Yeah. And like, I think Argento actually said something similar to the effect of like the, you know, the ballet, like in the school, you know, it was less about the ballet, but more about the kind of institutionalized environment. And, you know, obviously when you're thinking about children, you're thinking about, you know, you send them off to boarding schools and you send them off to things that are much more rigid and kind of thing. So, and I guess at that time period, there was a lot of kids going off to like dormitory type schools and like,
because she was rebellious. She was like, so, like pretty, like she talked back a lot, and she was
she had some.
She was like, you at one point she was very dramatic. She was like, you wouldn't understand, and I was like, yeah, lady, you don't understand.
Well, when the I always forget the lady's name, but this like second in charge lady, and she goes, "Ooh, like you stick." She kind of said something along the lines, of, you stick to your guns, like compliments, like it's just like, whoa, okay, bitch. Like, so, you know, and I know Bonnie mentioned it earlier, but there's that like one of the things I guess that, you know, Argento also mentioned that he wanted to capture is like, you know, essentially that women aren't entirely what's the word, like, you know, if you have a whole society of women, that there will be good and the bad, and like all the things that happen with men. He was trying to kind of show that like we can be just as bad to ourselves, I guess.
Well, yeah, there's absolutely.
And so it was kind of like seeing that, you know, it just having, I guess, like more of a, you know, it avoids kind of talking about or making, you know, femininity about innocence or evil, essentially. Like you don't see one thing that even when I was rewatching it for the billionth time, like I was like, because obviously we're all watching the newer movies, right? So I'm like watching it and I'm going, oh, I haven't seen any titties yet. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen any like, you know what I mean? Like there's no like no one's in love with each other. No one's like, there's no like nudie runs. There's no like, like no one's in love with someone. And like, you know, you have that little bit where there's the guy and she insinuates, you know, that, but then nothing comes of it. Like, there just seems, you know, there's all of that is like irrelevant kind of the story. It's not central.
Which is also very, I thought was very interesting, because as a dancer, I was a dancer all the way up into my mid-20s. I did ballet originally and then went on to doing much more fun dancing, which would have been go-go dancing, right? And dancing at raves and being paid to dance on stage with bands in like a 1960s, 70s style kind of go-go dancer girl. But I remember the thing that you had to get over really quickly as a young dancer, especially if you were, you know, not hitting puberty yet. It's you have to be okay being naked around other girls, because you're in and out of clothes and costumes and outfits behind the scenes at a performance, but also just during rehearsals. Also, just you're constantly wearing next to nothing. And it's not that you're being sexualized. It's just a dancer's body is its canvas, is its tool. So you can't be precious or shy or anything. Yeah. And also, I mean, this is an unrealistic movie, so I don't want to try to put realistic stuff against it, but
Very
you know,
dramatic.
they're very old. Those girls are old. There's no way in hell that age group would be at a dance academy. Dance academies are for,
they were meant to be,
they're meant to be 12 or younger. It's usually 11
because, like, you know what? Don't matter how old they are, because you might.
Yeah, because the way it actually works is that you have like whether you have the Joffrey or Bolshoi or any number of American or European ballet companies, they will give classes to very gifted young kids because they want to bring them into the company. Obviously, they're going to have the younger kids on things like Nutcracker or things where there's young children that have to be in the ballet corps, but they train them at a very, very young age. And if you get accepted into an academy like that, like they have in this movie, you would be so much younger. So I get it. They didn't do that because the level of violence, they can't have a bunch of 11 and 12. I mean, I would love to see this movie as it's intended with the 11 and 12-year-olds, but
the barbed wire, like curly.
Oh my God. Do you want some information?
That was like a new nightmare that I didn't know that I really had. I was like, great, thanks.
Have you ever seen, what's the movie with the like newer one? One of those, like, oh my God, what are they? Like, I think the Saw movie has something similar where they fall into a pit of needles. And like, I feel like, and like, but yeah, the barbed wire one, I feel like that's, when you like,
and she just kept getting like more and more like just
oh yeah, no, it's horrible.
And I was like,
because imagine when you when you're like in a dream and you fall and you're like, and then you're like, you can't, and then add wire. But the thing about that was that the wire is real. That's actual wire.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have barbs on it, but it's actual wire, and the actress wasn't like totally clued into that. And so like she actually, it was really,
that was definitely the most like scene of the whole movie.
And I will say that
was the one that I was just like,
you were like,
in actual dance schools too, there are these levels of competition. Girls are fiercely competitive in ballet academy, ballet school. They want to be the prima donna. They want to be, it's kind of like in any situation, you want to be front facing. You don't want to be background dancer. You want to be in the front. And I just remember some of the sabotage that would go on in my dance classes. I never wanted to be the prima donna. That's too much stress. And there's too many eating disorders I'd have to do to even get there. So like, I just didn't, and that's also where I learned about eating disorders was dance class. So if you think about like all the different things that are actual real life horrors that happen in dance class. But I remember one of the sabotagers that was trying to get rid of the top dancer, because we didn't have lamb's wool in our point shoes. We were allowed, I guess, a little bit of something to soak up the blood. I think it was like toilet paper or something, but that's not going to be a shock absorber. That was more or less just to keep blood from gushing all over the floor from point dancing. She put ground glass in there. And the girl got ground glass into her toes, but it was so fine she couldn't like prove it. And so that was one way they got rid of the top dancer in our class. And another one was I think they put some sort of like chemical on her shoe so it would be slippery. So she slipped on the wooden floor and twisted her ankle. And that level of competition and girl on girl competition, I mean, that goes all the way to Showgirls, the movie. I mean, that's nothing new. But in real life, dance class kind of felt like a horror zone because you're around all these girls that want the top position. The instructors tend to be very strict and cruel and not very empathetic or kind. This is, the best ballet instructor you can have is one that's never going to hug you. You need one that pushes you further and further. And I think in this particular movie, as a dancer, I liked all the stuff about this movie. Part of me kind of wanted a little bit more of the sabotage or a little bit more of what it's like to be a dancer when you're away and you're competing with these girls. But, the sad truth about this movie is the girls competing with each other was the least of their worries because they're basically at an academy for witchcraft, not realizing what it is and what it represents and what they're there for. And it's when you go back and watch it and knowing that layer of this is them recruiting for their coven. This isn't, yes, it's a ballet school, but they want that innocence. They want to mold girls into what they want them to be. I think Olga is, was supposed to be an initiate. And I think when you look at it with that lens, and then also look at the dancing, because if you look at the history of witchcraft, whether it's like the traditional history or you go into really do proper research of covens, dancing amongst witches used to be spellbinding. It used to be a thing that would create spells. It used to be a thing that would summon demons. It used to be something to celebrate a certain demon, or it would just be to celebrate solstice. So when you look at their dancing in this ballet and compare it, right? So it's like, when you look at the history of witchcraft, that dancing was a very important part of that. Now, it's not an important part of male witchcraft, which a lot of that was alchemy. A lot of that was, yes, doing deals with the devil, but there was no dancing unless it's like the crossroads, but that's a whole other thing. But if you look at different levels of witchcraft and different cultures, dance is important. And it's whether it's Santeria, whether it's, Haitian hoodoo, whether it's Native American, which is, a lot of Native American practices have to do with dance. Dance is important, and dance is a language in its own, and dance is a celebration, but also it's mystical when it's all done by young girls in a certain way, in a certain realm, on a certain vortex, because there's ley lines underneath this place. So when you put all that together and then watch the movie, you're like, oh shit, this is the craft with ballet thrown in, and a lot of old ladies that know what they're doing. And this girl has no hope.
Fierce old ladies with like that stern face that like I feel like they're gonna like beat the crap out of you. Like
they know what they're doing. You do not mess with those ladies. Like, I mean, I was always convinced that my ballet instructor, who was very stern and very, strict, was maybe possibly a witch, but she also, like, that was just her way of training. And when you're in that kind of regiment, you just, especially if you're like a young girl, your imagination's going to go crazy. And that's why I love this movie, is because it's your imagination of some girl who doesn't sure what's going on. It's almost projected into these rooms. So these rooms are even more scary and more spooky and whatever, because she doesn't know what's going on. If this was like a rom-com, or if it was like, you know what I mean? Like if it was any other genre, different music, different lighting, it would be like this happy Princess Diaries thing. But because of the music, the lighting, the situation she's in, it is a creepy ass movie without any dialogue whatsoever. It's just creepy on its own. So yeah, I love this. And I love the use of dance and witchcraft. I think that's something that when you start looking at the history of witchcraft across the centuries and how important dance is, and that dance is incorporated in spells, I don't know. I really loved it. He did his research. I mean, this movie is no joke. This movie is like not just pretty and entertaining, but it's got so many historical levels and psychological levels to it that, again, I learn something from it every time I watch it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like I guess like when I was going down this like kind of wormhole, looking at like, trying to see everything I could see that, Dario and like, that they've all discussed about what it is and stuff. And I think one of the things I thought was really cool was that like, he wanted to tell this story, but essentially he did just want to tell a children's fairy tale. And his kind of like thing was that like witches, are essentially like in all fairy tales, it's like what is it, like Hansel and Gretel and like all of those kind of ones, usually the first person the children meet outside of their home or whatever is some kind of witch character of some sort. And that's like kind of where, it kind of parts of that came from, was like thinking of, this kind of fairy tale like world. And often that's what it is. But instead he kind of turned it on his head, I guess, and like kind of started, built out this world that I guess is kind of like an exaggerated, like nightmare version, but it's like, I guess, it's like a female kind of centered like society. So it's like essentially like female power, but like existing outside of the patriarchy. Like it's all like the women have created their own like institution, like they possess the knowledge, they control their own world, they don't answer to men. The men in the film are all complete divs. Like Dr. Mandel tries to offer explanations and he's always wrong. the professor just
The
dismisses
psychiatrist
witchcraft.
really made me mad because he would lose his license for like divulging the patient's info the way that he did.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, it's like he
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
do that. That's like a HIPAA violation.
Yeah.
I
And
was
then,
like,
like, you
that's
have
what
the
happened. And he also like he said that he was like friends with her, and I was like, that's an ethics violation. I was like, I didn't like any of the male characters in this.
No,
either.
and you weren't meant to, you know, like they were all, I mean, Daniel with the creepy, like, you know, he had his teeth and whatever.
The
Like,
ogre face guy.
yeah, yeah. And you're like,
Yeah.
"Ew." And then like, you know, and then he is like, they kind of like, all of them had something about
And then
them
there's
that
like the
was-
dumb guys, though, right? Because there's like the dumb
Yeah.
kid who like kind of like likes her or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, they're all like divvy. It's kind of like
Ugh.
but when you think about it, and like you look at like a lot of the movies that are around at the time, he's just reversed what was happening to women. Like, you know, women were all like these silly little idiots and like blah 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 in a lot of films. So I kind of like that he kind of made all the male characters in this film like kind of complete like deadheads. So I thought that was cool. And then but yeah, like the real like I guess power structure within the film is purely female. So it's kind of like it's very cool because this is someone who I guess yeah, is very, you know, mostly male dominated kind of area. All of his films have like, you know, it's all about women and violence, like beauty and violence. But like in this film, it's all women killing women. Like there's no male kind of killing them. Even though I will say
The dog
that
attacks the guy,
dog,
and the, like
yeah,
I was
yeah, that
so
was
glad the dog didn't get hurt, though. I was
no.
Yeah.
the whole time I was
when
like,
I was
please don't let
watching
this
that,
dog get hurt.
I was
Please
like,
don't let this dog get
oh
hurt.
no, because I was like, oh, but it's funny like that scene like with the dog obviously is like because that character is supposed to essentially be like, you know, like very vulnerable, you know, like and it's like taking something very innocent like your man's best friend and he's, you know, blind and he has this, you know, and essentially it turns on him. It's kind of like a weird little thing that he kind of snuck in there about.
And also, I
who
think
you trust and
there's
how-
I think there was also, because of where it happened, was where Hitler gave a lot of his speeches, and it was supposed to be a reflection about fascism.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, this movie is no joke. There's so many.
That's like beyond my
When you look at where it was filmed and certain scenes and what happens in those areas, that is something that was brought up later by film historians and film critics that took a deep dive on it. They're like, holy shit, there's this other thing that this was filmed in a place, and that attack was very specific to that one spot where Hitler gave some of his most, you know, heavy-hitting, horrible speeches. So that was something that he wanted to put in the movie. The thing about women too, it's like, you know, this is co-written by a woman, and she had a huge influence on this film. I think that is also interesting to think about when you think, because Dario Argento's movies are beautifully shot. They're amazing. They have strong female leads. They have interesting final girl types, but also the deaths and the tortures are very specific to his movies. You know,
it felt very specific. It's a blind guy like in this like crazy place that gets like his throat ripped out by his best friend, basically, which is like, and I'm like, wow, that's like oof.
Yeah, and also when you look at witchcraft animals. Oh, go ahead, Renee. Go ahead.
This one, that pretty much all the murders where you see hands, that's Dario Argento's hands doing.
Yeah.
Really?
Those are his hands, yeah.
They're his hands. He does it in.
Is that like a thing that he just like always wanted to like?
No, I don't think he wants to kill anyone, but I think he's very like possessed by visual effects, but physical effects. So I feel like to him, he was like, "You do it like this, just get out of my way. I'll do it." That's how I, you know what I mean.
And everything is very, very much thought out by him. Like,
I just didn't know if it was like a thing where he was like,
I don't think it's a kink, but who knows?
It has to be me that shoots this violent.
No,
it has to be my hand.
That's a good question. That is an interesting thing to think about, because like,
I don't think he doesn't do it in every single, but majority of the time it is him who is the hands, and maybe it's just because it's cheaper. Maybe it's because he wants to be in control. Like maybe, yeah, who knows?
Maybe
But
that's just like, yeah, like it could be just his way. I mean, one of our commenters said that there's a great documentary called Panico, which shows the depth and time and research Argento spends on his films. So if you watch Panico, that documentary, I've seen it, it's really good. It shows, you know, it's kind of like when you think of these films and they're great and they're beautiful, and then you're like, was this a happy accident? Was this a perfect storm? Or was this something that was researched by the filmmakers so much that they knew exactly what they wanted and they got exactly what they wanted on film? That is a very hard thing to do as a filmmaker unless you own the studio, unless you're friends with the composer. I mean, this is why John Carpenter did a lot of the composing of his films, is because he wanted it to sound a certain way and didn't want to leave it up to somebody else. David Lynch is a great example of someone who's like, no, I want it a certain way, so this is how we're doing it. And so he worked outside of the studio system. George Lucas worked outside of the studio system later on after his first film. You know, it's like these filmmakers have a very distinct way of how they want their film to look, but because of legality and studios and market research and, you know, all the dumb things that go into having a film get financed, there's too many chefs in the kitchen. So a lot of times you'll see these movies come out with director's cut. Well, the reason it's coming out director's cut is because the movie you saw originally was not what the director wanted, but because contractually or do whatever, you know, lawyers present in the room, they had to do it a certain way because someone said it'll make more money if you do A, B, C, and D. So I think that's why it's interesting to look at these older movies that may or may not. I mean, the 70s still had the studio system. Star Wars had plenty of people from the studios telling George Lucas, hey, can you put pants on that Chewbacca guy? Like, and he didn't, but he almost had to put lederhosen on him. Like, when you think of that, of how many dumb studio notes there are and how many people that are involved in wrecking the director's vision. It is interesting that we got the movies we did. And I think Kubrick's a great example of someone who was really dedicated to what he wanted, even if it didn't match the screenplay, even if it didn't match the book. Like The Shining movie is very different than The Shining the book. But with this movie and all of Argento's movies, you can tell, no, this is how he wanted it. He spent a ton of time researching it, saying what he wanted, what kind of music, what kind of background, what kind of actors. He was involved in the casting. He was involved in the soundtrack. He was involved in the set studios. He was involved in the sound design.
Europeans, they are a different breed, like pure artists. Like the films that I've been rewatching are all by like Polish directors and like all different and like mind blowing. And I'm like, what happened? Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's what's lost in film today.
And I will say Argento did have to deal with that horrible network studio bullshit towards the end of his career. Like the more recent movies he's done, you can tell there's assholes telling him what to do. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like these directors, the ones that leave lasting impact and film things the way they want, or even have maybe questionable personalities, which there are many, produce amazing work. And that's where I'm kind of like, oh, brother. Because like,
and they're also not necessarily great.
Like, oh, I love, I love Possession. It's one of my favorite films.
Oh yeah.
Obsessed. I did another film that I absolutely love. It's like On the Silver Globe. We did that, which is by the same director. And again, mind blowing, but it's a particular type of personality. And that's the same with Argento.
Yeah.
Very, very specific, very like, you know what I mean? Needs to be in there, has a very clear vision. And I feel like, and same with you, David Lynch's and Kubrick's.
And also you could go as far back as like Alfred Hitchcock. Like his movies are very distinct and very much an Alfred Hitchcock film. And you could tell 100%, whether you want to delve into the horribleness behind the scenes, that's another thing. But he is very distinct in how he does movies. And, there's certain filmmakers that you're always going to know a Tarantino film from a Robert Rodriguez film, from a Wes Anderson film, and these are people that have very distinct ideas of what they want and what they want. Jordan Peele, another great example. They're very specific in what they want. And they're James Wan, same. They have very distinct visions, and they try to circle themselves with people that, not just yes men and women and theys, but I think they want to have people understand their vision instead of trying to make it more marketable to different audiences, or, you know, having people come in and view the movie and then give their response. I hate that. I hate that there's a system where certain filmmakers have to show their films as soon as they're done to a group of people that are just ripped off the street and said, okay, what do you like about this movie? What you don't like about this movie? And then changes are made based on just a handful of people, or changes are made based on an algorithm that someone decided to do, or an AI assessment. It's like, no. We need these movies, these visions to happen, because sometimes they're groundbreaking. Like when you see, especially in our genre, the horror genre, yeah, you see like movies like Weapons. That was beautifully shot. It was a great story. It was interesting. I wouldn't say it's like the type of horror film you would, you know, teach in film school, but it was an interesting concept, and the way they did it and how they did it. And it struck a nerve. And luckily it was a perfect storm at the box office. But then there's other movies I think that are better that didn't succeed in the box office because maybe there's too much of things to watch, and it just didn't get the audience it needed. And maybe it'll get it later. Like Donnie Darko failed at the box office and then became a cult classic over many viewings.
Most of the best movies are cult classics.
And a lot of them failed at the box office. That's the sad thing, is like, I think now a lot of horror,
that's what makes them good though.
I know.
I don't think that they're supposed to be for everyone.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm a snob, but like, you know, like they're not for everyone. They're for certain people, and certain people who get it. You know what I mean? And
yeah, and I don't like, I mean, all horror film fans, they don't like all horror. Some of them like certain things more than others.
Everyone's as cool as Renee. like not everyone gets it.
Exactly. We all wish we could be Renee.
Oh, we do.
Like, you know, when a film comes out and everyone's like all about it, and they're all like, la, la, and I'm like, that's my worst fucking idea.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I couldn't think of anything worse than having.
There's so many overrated. I know. There's certain movies that I think a lot of people are like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And I try to go into watching movies without that, you know, preconception of, oh, well, so-and-so says it's great, it must be great. I just like to watch it on face value, because I was a movie reviewer for a long time professionally, and I would go into watching movies without ever seeing the trailer, because I wanted to watch
trailers.
Yeah, just watch it as is. And also, I'm not the type of movie reviewer. If you're ever at a press screening, you're going to see a lot of people on their laptops typing as the movie's playing. Now, of course, a lot of us are remote workers, so we aren't around each other. But I would always watch a movie straight up, just for entertainment purposes, and then I'd watch it a second time with whatever, you know, digital link they gave us to watch it, and then do a second critique of it. And that's how I would review movies, because I think if you're doing a horror film in different genres, there's different things you have to pay attention to that you won't on first viewing, because we don't, as humans, like translate a movie through everything on different levels all at once. A lot of times we're looking at the characters, or we're looking at the backgrounds, or the color, or the sound, or the music, or the story as a whole, or the direction as a whole, or the cinematography. You can't have all those things going in your brain critically at the same time. So I think when I see movies like this, and I watch them over and over and over, and sometimes I wonder, wait, am I just loving this movie because of the nostalgia effect, because it reminds me of when I first saw it, or do I love this movie like if I just watch it for the first time this year? That's where, you know, a movie stands up the test of time, not just because everyone's talking about it, not just because it's, you know, basically been a muse for everyone else that makes horror films after it. I think it's like, if you can learn something from a movie, or see something different, or respect it, or learn a history about it, or just find it entertaining, and you watch it and you stop doing what you're doing. Because I'm ADHD, so my thing is, if it grabs my attention that well, it's a good movie.
Never would have guessed that.
I know, it's shocking, right? Anyway, I love this movie. I just wish more movies were like it. I wish we had more studios that wanted to make movies like this.
I think it was just a really weird, cool movie in a lot of different ways. I'm interested in knowing the meaning behind the different rooms and the colors, though. I didn't get that. So somebody explain this to me.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's different. Go ahead, Renee.
I'll give you a base one, and I'll let Bonnie go hard into the rooms. How about that? like, yeah, like, so there's like the color, I guess, theory. So he's obviously using color as a way to, I guess, express certain feelings, certain like,
Yeah, the green with the red was like, and when they were
yeah,
all going to sleep in like the red
yeah.
raccoon room, I was like, I could never sleep in a red room. Like it's
No, it was very like, yeah, and it's like, so obviously the red is the one that he uses the most because it's just, it's
well,
not,
yeah,
and
but
it's
then he
also
used blue, and I was like, oh, things are gonna calm down, and it didn't get calmed down.
no, yeah, because obviously, well, the reason, I guess, is so red. The main reason behind the red was obviously that it represents many things, and he used it. I guess he didn't use it in a way that you would realistically use red. So it's kind of representing blood, danger, violence, like supernatural, and like the womb. And then like they're using it as the domain, the witch's domain. It's very overwhelming. The room's like drenched with it. Characters walk through the room. Even like the lighting kind of transforms like normal kind of rooms into very like hellish feeling places. Then you have blue, which is actually more supposed to represent, I guess, more cold, isolation, vulnerability, death. Like, so it's a bit like that's where Sarah's final escape. Like
Oh
there's
man,
a
I
lot
saw the
of
blue, and I was like, ooh, calm.
yeah, yeah. It's surrounded like by cold blues, and then like, but there's a little bit of like yellow, which is kind of like almost, I guess, like potential safety, but it's like frustratingly out of reach. And then you green is like kind of an unnatural, sickly kind of environment. So it feels like it's almost like meant to be like feel quite alien and outside of the normal environment. But in Suspiria, green is actually it's very, there's a contamination and it feels kind of like it's not comforting at all, but it should be. Green typically is meant to be a bit more of a comforting color, but it's not. And then of course you've got all the kind of primary colors which go back into his whole idea about having the fairy tales and each color representing something from childhood, so that essentially it makes you feel uneasy because it's like something that your body and your mind is very familiar with, but seeing it in that kind of space and used in that way is kind of surreal and uncanny, and it just doesn't sit right with you, which is where he made a statement about the colors and stuff meant to be like, he wanted them to like almost induce hallucinations, but like in a way that he was forcing you to see colors in different, I guess, in totally different ways than you've ever seen them before. So they completely transform a color that you would normally, associate it with. Like, if you're looking at red, you're thinking like roses and like kind of nice things. In this film, red's very like overbearing and powerful and like quite strong.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of red. So I
Like,
felt the overbearing and the power and the
yeah.
I mean, I also like the music that they use throughout. Like, it's just also such an iconic like string of music. Like, and the way that like it's spooky, but it also reminds me like of those little ballet boxes that you open, like the jewelry
with
box,
the little
ballet. Yeah. And that like it's reminiscent of that to me. So
I had one of those when I was a kid.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I did too. I think what's funny. I think that's the girliest thing I ever got as a present because I was such a tomboy growing up, and I think it was my grandmother. No, I don't remember. Who, great grandmother maybe gave me that. And what I loved about that doll, the ballet jewelry box, which by the way, I think that's where I kept my recreational things, not jewelry, but it's a good pot box. But anyway, I remember when it was starting to die, the sound, it gets even eerier as it slows down. And, when you wind it up, it's kind of like an illusion of life, right? You have all this energy and you're beautiful and the music's beautiful when you're young. And then when towards death, it gets into this eerie, slow down. And also the ballet dancer starts jerking a little. So I think I might be projecting a little bit too much on that doll box, but to go back a little bit on the color scheme, I think it's interesting when we are taught color means this, sometimes we like, red means evil, blue means tranquil, green means knowledge, yellow means, warmth, white is the good guys, like all that. But Argento's
I don't agree with all of this, but okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that subjectively. Like, I'm talking about like cartoons and things like that, childlike, childlike
Right.
childlike definitions of color. Not obviously that's not like straight up, but what I'm trying to say is whatever you have your idea of what colors represent what, Argento skews it. And so that's why it's also jarring in this movie to go from room to room to room, because
he turns it up to 100.
it turns it on its side. Yeah. So like
it's like you want
in
red?
I wrote
more than red. You know what I mean?
yeah, like so red, which was I wrote all this down, by the way, because I had so many notes. But like red was because red's the dominant color of the movie. It's in the hallways, bedrooms, staircases. It's strongly associated with blood and death and violence and fear and danger, the witch's presence, but also sexuality and primal urges, which keep in mind, we're still, even though the age group of the actors went up, it's not the script is still the same. So when you think of red, you think of the age of menstruation when you first menstruate. And also
always, I was actually wondering how long we would get into the podcast before you would bring up
before I mentioned menstruation.
like I was
got that blood.
I won't dwell on it for the sake of our male viewers right now, but I will say that's
I love it. It's great.
Yeah, and also coven magic, that is one of the most powerful, let's say, ingredients in a lot of spells. But also it doesn't necessarily mean that something, is necessarily wrong when the red is in the movie. So I think that is an interesting concept, because blue is where there's more uncertainty and unknown and mysterious. It tends to feel a bit isolating and dreamlike. But also it could be more frightening than red, because it's a moment of anticipation. So when you don't know what's going to happen next, I mean, one thing about this movie people don't realize is in this year, like 1977, there weren't a lot of horror films that start right off with a killing. It's kind of like what Scream did, right? When the movie Scream came out and it killed, it's the character on the poster that you thought Drew Barrymore is going to be the main character throughout the whole film. They kill her off right at the beginning. It's kind of like that kind of thing was unknown, or not as, it was pretty rare in movies to have that kind of really brutal killing right off the bat, because Argento wanted audiences to not know what's going to come next, because it's not a template movie. It's not a movie you can predict. You don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes that anticipation of not knowing what's going to happen next is scarier than seeing an actual scary thing. So that's why the blue color, even though you would think, oh, it's tranquil and calm, no, it's supposed to be scarier than red in this movie. And then the green, often that's, where you think it's going to be about knowledge. It's actually about sickness and discovery and awareness, but you kind of feel a knot in your stomach when you learn something that you didn't want to learn. So that's another part of the green. And then yellow was supposed to be the outside or ordinary world, or a transition or something that looks safe but may not be. And then white was supposed to represent normality. So that's what I wrote down. Granted, I know that there's many people that are going to argue all of those things. I got those things from Argento interviews. So I went straight to him to find out what he said. But I know that is conjectural, and people can put their own.
That's the cool thing about it, though. Like Argento, this is what he thought, but people can take away what they want.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think he's very cool like that. Like he's not someone. That's one thing the whole time I've followed like his movies is that he's very specific in what he wants, but he also is like very like he loves the idea of people I can't speak, like reinterpreting like his,
that was an interesting accent. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but like people like interpreting things that the way that they kind of want, like, and I feel like he's kind of
and that's good filmmaking. I think if you have a movie that's not straight up explanatory, it lasts longer in people's brains because they think about it more. Like, I know if I watch a movie and I'm like, wait, what was that supposed to mean? Then you got my brain hooked for the next 3 hours wondering what the hell was that supposed to be, instead of just spoon feeding me your plot, your characters, whatever.
Not just like that. I've realized recently that like watching movies, it like what I get from it and how I perceive it and how it makes me feel is also dependent on like what's going on around me at that time and where I was in life. You know what I mean? Because I think that I don't know. I kind of like before. I mean, when I briefly watched this movie, I remember it was just being like this kind of like drug fueled psychedelic kind of like imagery movie. Like I didn't really remember there being like any storyline for some reason.
Yeah.
You know, and then but that was kind of my life at the time. My life was kind of like a psychedelic haze at that moment.
Mhm.
So like it was kind of reflective of what I saw, you know, and now like I sat down with it today and like took notes and like, you know, watched it. And yeah, it's interesting. Like I've realized how like you can watch something at one point in your life and then rewatch it later and you get something completely different. Or like you said, like the more you watch something, you get something different, or you see something that you didn't see before. And I think it's interesting, like the mood that you go into watching the movie too, can really be like a reflective of like how you perceive it and what you get out of it and like how you enjoy it. And yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I was really excited to watch this and sat down very eager to like take my little notes and like watch it and get back into this. And I really enjoyed watching this movie. I thought it was absolutely great. I thought there was really weird characters that had like some dialogue that I was like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
Or like wait, what? That was very dramatically like given. It was.
Well, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Because it's like you've got an American girl, and it's a German academy, like, but everyone.
Yeah, it was full of characters.
Everyone on the film is actually Italian, so it's like everyone's just.
Well, a lot of them came from different places. I know too, like some of them didn't speak any English whatsoever. I think there's a scene where our main character's talking to an old man and he's speaking primarily in
like very creepy and he like is very like negative about witchcraft too. Like it gives it a bad name.
But also what you don't know is that he didn't know any English and she didn't know any German. So like he would kick her with his foot when it was time for her to say her line because she learned her lines but didn't know what he was saying. And so like there's things about that. There's also what you said earlier. Also, what you said earlier about like you have to be in a certain whatever mindset you're in when you watch this movie. You're kind of you have a different experience with it. That's very much what they say about LSD. If you take an acid trip when you're
done LSD, Bonnie.
Well, this movie is like okay. So this is a great example. So I will say this movie is like an LSD trip. So if you don't ever want to do LSD, just watch this movie a lot, and that's pretty indicative. If you go into it if you're in a bad mood, you're going to have a bad trip. If you're depressed, you're going to have a bad trip. If you're already happy and excited, you're going to have a good trip. That's kind of what LSD does. Mushrooms not, because mushrooms more subtle. But with LSD, everything is vibrant. So the colors are brighter, the sound is sharper. But I will say on the flip side, I wouldn't get on LSD and then watch this movie because I thought, oh, then it's going to be even trippier and cooler. No. What happened was I also have ADHD. Also, I had ADHD. So what I did when I tripped and watched this movie, I think in college, all I did was I was convinced I knew what the whispering gibberish was saying. And the whispering is just gibberish. So the whispering, all that whispering, that's not even, there's no text for it. It's somebody from Goblin just doing gibberish. It's not another language or it's not spells. And when I was taking LSD, I took it. I was convinced they were secret witch spells that were like, being sent to the audience to feel certain things. It's like, no, it was just gibberish, Bonnie. It wasn't like it's not Da Vinci Code. I didn't veil this thing that you can only unveil if you're taking LSD. So I will say it's indicative to an LSD trip, but I wouldn't suggest tripping while watching this movie. You'll probably have a much more enjoyable trip watching like Looney Tunes than you would this movie on LSD. Not that I'm saying anyone should do drugs. I'm just saying because this movie, every time someone says a movie is trippy, I'm always like, is it though? It's kind of like when someone says, oh, it's like crack. I'm like, have you ever smoked crack? Because I don't really. Or if they say, oh, it's like being at war. But anyone's like, oh, it was like being at war. I'm like, have you been in a war? So like, I don't, unless you like actually.
The real question.
Yeah, hit those hard hitting.
Anyway.
I mean, I would suggest having a gummy or like Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this is edible friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. I've had it on edibles and off it.
And
it's
also,
great.
if you can see this movie in an actual movie theater, do it. I've seen this movie done not only in a theater, I've seen it in a theater where a band plays the soundtrack
That's
live.
cool.
I've been in a theater where they had they had an actual ballet company do the dancing underneath the movie, like Rocky Horror Picture Show style. I've seen the movie in the most beautiful theaters. If you could see it in a historic theater in your area or somewhere on a big screen. I've seen it outdoors at a drive-in. That's beautiful at a drive-in theater. Like, that's gorgeous to see this movie outside as well. So any way you can see this movie, yeah, you can see it on your home entertainment system at home. I would say not on your phone because it doesn't do it justice. But definitely, if you can watch it in a theater.
No one should ever be watching a movie on their phone.
Well, it's a widescreen film.
Yeah, no.
Never.
It's a widescreen film that needs surround sound. It's a widescreen film that you need to immerse yourself in it. You need to feel like you're part of it. And I think people are starting to realize that now they're going to movies more and more in the theater, that there's some movies that you need to see on a big screen. It doesn't have to be IMAX, but just on a big screen, then you feel like you're part of the movie. And I think this is that type of movie that's just does it so much more justice when you see it on a huge screen and you're there with people, so you get that energy of an audience. I mean, there's science behind it that when you go to a film and there's other people in there, as long as they're not all on their phones, as long as they're not distracting and on their phones, it's a fun experience.
Can I ask a question? Is there a story behind the crazy peacock that gets knocked over and what is that crazy? In the movie, there's a crazy peacock.
Oh yeah, what was that? I had that in my notes.
That gets knocked over, and I was like, man, that is such a particular art piece that they chose for this scene to I don't know. It just seemed very. I didn't know if there was a story behind the peacock.
Hidden.
Yeah, I had it in my notes because peacocks are very symbolic in witchcraft, especially in folklore. I think it had something to do with beauty and vanity.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I know anything different about it, to be honest. It's probably one I have no idea.
I think it's also because she's being watched without knowing the voyeurism in the movie and the surveillance that's happening in the movie. And because peacocks have eyes on their feathers, it's supposed to represent surveillance. So not just pride and beauty, but surveillance or being watched. It also has remnants of evil eye. And evil eye is obviously a thing that is reoccurrent in many cultures with witchcraft and hexes. So I think it's more to do with pride and beauty and also surveillance. But again, it could have to do with The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, which is another Argento film. That is, I feel that's the thing. His movies, he references his other movies in these movies. So it's wait a minute.
It just seemed like a very specific, and it was really kind of featured in the shot. So I was like, what's the deal with this peacock?
I mean, it's very on brand for the interiors and stuff that was at the time, but I think it looks really cool. But it's also
it was cool looking. Everything in this is visually wow.
Well, it's got the multi-layered colors and stuff, whereas everything else is kind of one solid color, whereas the peacock's multiple. I kind of like that as well.
Also, peacocks are used in a lot of folklore dances, not just the magic aspect. A lot of the travelers and gypsy dance heritage. It's in that. It's in Native American dances. I mean, it's kind of I might be projecting a little bit more than what Argento. I think Argento had kind of very distinct things that he wanted in there, but with peacocks, especially if you see it in other films. And what is that supposed to? Because it's such a distinct bird. It has a distinct sound to it, and also sometimes they're associated with death more than ravens and crows because a lot of cemeteries have them. There's wild peacocks in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. There's wild peacocks there too. So
they're all over Pasadena, Glendale.
Yeah, they're all over the place. So sometimes, sometimes it represents a connection
find
between
them on their cars, and they're just
and sometimes people have a connection with them of the afterlife. So I'm sure there's lots of different reasons, but I thought it had something to do with the eyes and surveillance.
I remember growing up, we had really bad luck, and I remember my dad got a huge peacock feather, and he put it in the house because it's supposed to
I have a
like
peacock
do
feather that
something.
somebody gave me.
And
Yeah.
yeah, dad was obsessed with it. And he
So
Huh.
we had them in Kansas because they're really good guard dogs. I mean, they don't attack. Well, they do. They can.
I mean,
But
I
what
had a
they
feather,
actually
not an
do,
actual bird.
well, no, their cry is so loud that
yeah.
you, when someone's coming down your driveway, they'll announce them before you hear the car because their screeching is so distinct. And so a lot of peacocks you could find them at ranches and farms in the Midwest and Kansas and Oklahoma, and my uncle had them on his ranch in Texas. Like and also they're low maintenance birds and they take care of themselves. So they're just really good alarm systems. But I don't think that's why this one was used.
Mhm. I was gonna say, Chapter Black mentions the boy, and I wanted to mention this. The
Yeah.
boy, I feel like, I want to know what you guys think, because I felt like the boy was like the familiar.
Hmm.
Like it was kind of like, he was like the cat that would be following the witch around. Like he never says a word. Do you know what I mean? And he's always by her side.
Well,
And she's
except
like,
for when he's scared of the dog. He gets all like,
yeah.
Yeah, but I also wonder if that dog was controlled by the witches because witches can control animals. And also the familiar aspect of the little boy reminded me of the little boy in the David Lynch films that is being used. The little boy that's with the old woman that is
I mean, there was
a prophet.
definitely a few things throughout my notes that felt very Lynchian. Like it felt like.
Yeah, it's a good movie when your favorite filmmakers got inspired by it in some way, shape, or form. And
yeah,
I think that's
like there's like a blue curtain part that I was like,
yeah,
very David Lynchy.
Yeah, and he color coded his rooms in Twin Peaks, and he color coded certain things like the blue rose, and those, and he built his own mythos. He built his own mythology with his films, just like what Argento has with his films. And there's certain, you can tell when a filmmaker is really thinking big picture and not one film. When they're thinking, okay, I'm going to have a lot of films. It may either be a trilogy that is closely connected or not, but it's going to be certain thematic things that show up over and over. And I pay attention to that because I feel like if the filmmaker cares that much, I should too. I should pay attention, look it up, figure out why that's important. And again, with good filmmaking, it's not going to please everyone. You're not going to get all the answers. You're not going to get all the clues at once. It's sometimes you have to search it, and sometimes you may never get answers. I mean, David Lynch, very famously wouldn't give answers to interviewers when they asked questions about certain things in his movies. And even, the latest Twin Peaks series that was, the continuation of the one in the 90s, the one that Showtime had, it had more questions than answers. And we all thought we were going to get all these answers. And no, it ended up with more questions and then ended on a bigger question. And I think I like filmmakers that do that. It might be frustrating for some audiences that want everything tied up in a neat bow at the end. But I think when you leave things unanswered and it's up to interpretation, that's where interesting discussions like this happen. And you get to really learn about a filmmaker and also the movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Life doesn't wrap things up neatly. Like life's not like that.
I know.
Like life is messy and chaotic, and sometimes you never get answers for why shit happened, or you know what I mean? There's never a clear ending to something or any clarity around things. That's just the way life is. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that you end up being like, you can take what you want from it, but you can also it's the same as what like Jenna was saying about, the abruptness of just like being woke, it's like suddenly waking up. It's like, it's frustrating as all hell, but your life is frustrating. I feel like it's like, I kind of like it when stuff like that is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it did. It felt very much like dreamy vibes, and also like a music video at times. There was times that I was like, man, this would make a really killer music video.
Yeah, well, the bits with the hallway and when she's like walking through them, you can almost imagine like some like banging tune and she's like running through the room. But I've got a question. So what I feel like what would be like, what's the scene that you like the most?
Oh,
Jenna, I'll get Jenna to go first.
The scene that I liked the most. I mean, I know the one that gave me like the one that I'm gonna like if I had like a nightmare scene would be the barbed wire thing, because that's just like that visual and like getting stuck in it was just like and it was unexpected. I didn't expect her to like go into that room and that to happen for me. But I think my favorite, I don't know. I honestly don't know what. I think there was like a lot of the face shots of it with the blue and like the purple and the like those two like competing colors. I thought that those were just like so visually stunning, and I was like, wow, that could make a good album cover too. like I just kept feeling like there was like such a music video. Like I could just see so many new music videos and where they've taken things from it and how it's inspired stuff. And yeah, it felt like a very Technicolor dream. Like the colors were just I think I wrote down like 3 times like the color is just so rad, the color is just so rad. Like you don't see anything like this that feels like it, that has this atmosphere and this aesthetic that like it oozes, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's like immersive, like it
Yes, like it's like dripping,
you almost like melt into it, like
yes.
like he turns like the color and the sound are like infinity more, you know, important almost than the story itself. Like it's about like, yeah, it hits your senses.
Yeah, I didn't even know, like, I mean, I like reflecting on it, like I noticed that the, you know, the dialogue wasn't like, you know, like what you guys were saying, but like I was
like,
so immersed with with the color and the sound and everything like that, and what was like I didn't even like. And then when you guys were talking about how it was originally planned for like, and I was like, oh yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Like,
then it made sense after, but I was so like, just kind of like, wow, like immersed in it all, and the color and the sound of it all, and the way that like the sound would just ramp up and then cut out. And yeah, but then I don't know. I still feel the ending. I was just like, I don't know. It just ended all of a sudden.
Yeah. Like
I think that was my least favorite thing, is that I was like, hey, I was like,
you're
hey.
like,
it felt like I looked away from the screen for a second, and I looked over and I was like, wait a minute, it's over? Like wait a minute.
I feel like it's like when you, I don't know, like it's almost, I don't know, like I was just like, I want more, even though I know there's probably not a lot more that could happen, but I want more. And you kind of like, like
want more.
Yeah. I have like a love-hate with it, like, because I feel like maybe, I don't know, like if it continued on a bit more.
No, because then it's just perfect the way it is. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like I feel like at the end, you know, like she's like, because she represents kind of like this, you know, youthful, but like obviously like rebellion, you know what I mean? And she's like, she's come into this like very set kind of female hierarchy. And she's like,
the dance dressing room part, they're like, that's very like bratty bitchiness. And I was like, man, that feels like a stripper room. Like,
that's accurate.
Wow, that feels like the backstage of a strip club.
She's not gonna have a bar of it, you know what I mean? She stands her own. She's like, I'm not having a bar of this. Like, and that was like cool. And like, but in like he flipped the kind of script in the like sense that most movies would have like, which is actually what they did do in the later movie, where the, you know, it's like she comes in and like this film, you know, Susie comes in, blah blah blah, she destroys it. And then she's like, it's like liberation. Whereas in the other one, it's she tries to destroy it and then take the power and then transform it from within. So it's kind of like 2 very different messages. But
yeah.
Like, I feel like because it was meant to be about, you know, like destruction and liberation and freedom, that's what makes sense about it just ending the way it did. Even though
that bat stuck in her hair, by the way, too. The bat stuck in her hair. I was like, get it out of her hair. And like, then I was like, oh man, girl, you just need a rabies shot. And then it just shows her like sitting outside smoking a cigarette. And I was like, lady, you need a rabies shot. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not getting it?
That movie inspired me as a goth to braid my hair with small black plastic Halloween that's embedded in it, because I thought that was such a goth moment in the movie. And I incorporated that into my like hair pieces in high school and college when I was trying to be all, Morticia, Witchy
No, I
Witch.
have
But
had a bat fly into my house when I opened the door once to take Sable out. It flew in, a baby bat, and I had to call animal control and everything.
Yeah, it was going wild.
It was not fun. Luckily, it wasn't as dramatic as in the
Worse
movie.
than that one.
But it still, when I was watching it, I was like, oh man, that could have been.
if that ever happens to you
And
again,
it got so stuck in her hair in the scene too, and I was like, why can't you just get this thing out of your hair?
there's a way to do that. I think
she killed it. She killed it with
with
the something.
on the
I
blanket.
think in real life, if that happens where there's a bat in your flies in your room, those squeaky duck toys for the bath, you can squeak it and throw it out the window and it will follow it, because that happens.
Well, I just trapped it in a room and then called animal control, and then the lady came over with like one of those cartoon butterfly net things.
Oh yeah,
she literally came over with one, and she was like, "Hey." And then she just stuck her arm in the room and caught it and took it out, and it was great. I had no contact with it. It was it was as good of a bat experience as you could expect to have.
Oh yeah, no, you did everything right. I was just thinking that
I was impressed with my calmness because it was a fucking bat in my house.
No, and also you feel bad for them because they can't see.
I did, because it was kind of cute too.
They can't see. Bats can't see. They travel by sonar, so they can't see anything. So yeah, and they're also they're more scared of you than the other way around. Because we used to have them when I lived in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And even here in LA, if you go up to the mountains or the hills, and you have one of those outdoor umbrellas, for your patio, if you have them closed, sometimes the baby bats will get up in there because it's dark during the day. And then if you open up at night, they'll fly out. So that happens quite a bit too. Yeah. So just check your patio umbrellas if you live in places where there's bats. But, we need them because they eat mosquitoes and things that aren't great for us. And also, if you build a little bat house, I think I built a bat house.
They're cute. They're actually really cute. I just don't want
you just don't want them in your hair. Yeah.
I have a lot of hair too, so it would get.
Girl, I know. Hey, I don't want one with my hair. Yeah, I'd say plastic Halloween bats are good, but I know. I wanted to say what my favorite scene was, which is kind of weird because it's at the beginning. And so I have two favorite scenes. My first favorite scene is when the girl is originally attacked in the apartment. Mm-hmm. And I love it when the banging on the door to get in, and she gets in, but then she has to go through another colored hallway and another colored door and bangs on the other door. That process of color variation and the stress of trying to save someone who's being attacked in your apartment, but you don't know what's going on. We know what's going on as the audience, because we've already been privy to what's happening. But if you were letting someone stay at your house, which happens to me quite a bit, and that happened, the freakiness of that terror of not knowing what's happening to your friend and not being able to get to her because there's many colored doors. For me, that was an interesting color scheme moment of terror. The other one that I really love is the stained glass death, because to be killed by a stained glass window is something I've thought about as a young child, being trapped in church services for so long. Because if you were an ADHD girl and you're in Catholic school, or let's just say Episcopalian or Presbyterian, any kind of church that has a lot of stained glass windows, and you were sitting in a boring sermon for hours, you will zone out on those. You will.
These are specific fears that you have. I love your brain. Keep going.
I astral project when I'm scared, when I'm super scared or super bored. And so to be super bored in church, I would not function. I would probably just die on the spot in Methodist or Lutheran because they don't have any decor. But when you're in a church that has stained glass windows and they're beautiful, and also it's not just Jesus, it's the saints. It's also, Mother Mary. It's all these different characters. It's not just the one I'd zone out on is, of course, Noah, because it had all the animals and the boat. And then in my mind, I was Pippi Longstocking, thinking about building my own boat. Which pets would I take? Which animals would I take? That. So to me, to be killed by something that was my source of being rescued is to look at stained glass and have my imagination go to that stained glass, but have the stained glass then be the murder weapon. That's crazy. So to me, that was, and also it's such a beautiful window to have that be, to die from glass of a stained glass. I mean, that whole sequence was inventive, interesting, beautiful, sad. graphic. I mean, it hits everything of what the movie's gonna be. That's the other thing. It's one of the first real deaths in the movie. And when you see that, that's gonna set the mood and set the tone and set the color scheme for all the other deaths that come after it. So it's a really interesting storytelling technique. It's an interesting way to kill someone. And it's just a beautiful set design. So, and the music, of course, but the color scheme of that also is all the colors. So the stained glass is all the colors at once, not just one color. So I probably thought about this way too much, but that
Also, like blue maggots. There was blue maggots.
That's what I said. The maggots.
And the girl was like, I got one in my mouth. And I was like, no.
You know what? In the filming of that movie, they threw rice. They threw uncooked rice down which is very Lost Boys when you think of the rice maggot scene in the cave.
Yeah.
But they threw rice down at the actors, because they had real maggots down there, but then they threw rice, and so the actors thought real maggots were being thrown at, and real maggots being thrown at you. I'm not that stoic of an actress that I think I would have been able to tell the difference between real maggots and rice, but that was one of the things they used in the filming.
Take the bat over maggots any day.
Yeah, I can take some things. I'm a maggot free set on any film I do.
Free set. Yeah, I think I was gonna say I'm sort of on the same par with Bonnie with my favorite scene, because that scene, but I guess maybe for different sort of reasons. I don't know. Not because I want to die by stained glass.
I should say I don't want to die. I should say I didn't want to die by stained glass.
Didn't want to die by stained glass.
Okay, just in case anyone wants to kill me, that's not how I want to go. Okay.
I think I just liked the way the whole sequence happened. I loved that she fell through and then hung. And
yeah,
then, the blood, and it kind of reminded me of a friend of mine is an artist, but she's like a taxidermist, and she did this huge piece. She only uses animals that have died by natural causes. She's a really strong animal activist. And so she only uses ones that have died naturally. And she did this huge cow, and the cow's massive, hanging from a rope type thing. It kind of reminded me of, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of that, but she made blood coming out of the mouth and everything. It was like rubies. And I don't know, is there something about that kind of ideology? I don't know. And the color of the blood is so fantastical that it's everything looks just so outside of this world. And I kind of really like that. And then on top of that, you've got the looking up, but then you've also got the looking down, and everything's you sort of starting to see, I guess, the vastness of the spaces as well. And then how the colors kind of work, and just visually in color, it's just gorgeous to watch, as a death scene. So I think I like that one probably the most. But I also liked lots of little subtle things. I liked the first scene with her in the car. And I like the way they shot that. It was multiple
the beginning too, with the rain and the way that they use the lights in the public space with the rain and the shadows. It was, the whole thing is just like you said, you can put it in the back of a party and you just pause and it's that's a shot. That's a killer photograph. That's a killer photograph. That's just an art piece in itself. There's that room that she walks in. That's just I don't know the color. I think it's white and orange or something behind her. And I was when she walks into it, I was just wow, that is just a perfect you could just take that shot right there. And that's, yeah, it's I don't know, the impact of the imagery and how, I don't know, each one has I can't explain, it really just stays in your brain. Now I will have these images after watching this film in my brain forever, and I will now see things in the future that I'm oh, that's that, and oh, that reminds me of that, and oh, that reminds me of that. It's interesting. Now I want to watch all the old films, so you just gotta said,
and I think you like all of Argento's films, because Argento takes he's so very specific with color and imagery and background, and the background colors and the set design.
I love his leading ladies. I feel you would really like I feel Inferno has these this amazing femme fatale I'm just in love with.
You would love Deep Red. I think Deep Red should be the next movie you watch.
I'm watching it. I'm writing this all down.
What do you think, Renee? Do you think Deep Red would be a good one for her to watch?
Yeah, I think. Hang on. Yeah.
I think opera is great, though I will say the torture scenes are pretty intense.
They're
But
pretty
opera
intense.
is great if you love ravens. Opera is a great one.
Yeah,
I
I feel
think
like, I feel like Inferno and maybe Phenomena are probably very
Phenomenon's great because it's
much.
got Jennifer Connelly in it, and
Oh
I
my
do
god,
believe
she's such
Yeah,
a
so. It's
she's
got
diva.
Jennifer Connelly, and I do believe
I'm like, Jennifer
Phenomenon is what got her into Labyrinth.
yes, it is.
she's
So if you want to see Jennifer Connelly before Labyrinth,
she's just like one of the most beautiful women I think that's
Yeah,
ever existed
and
to
she is
ever
truly
like
stunning. Like, I'll
also
say that
the story is such a great story of a
it's a
girl
cool
that can
story.
control insects.
ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's if you've ever been a little girl who's been bullied, let me tell you how much of a superpower that is. If you could control animals, fire, or insects, or the weather. I mean, I remember having very deep, passionate ideas of that would be great if I could get every insect on that one girl that like keeps pushing me down the stairs. So like Phenomenon is such a, and also that's got a great soundtrack. It's such an interesting film. I mean, all of his films are great, but I think there's certain ones that really stand out. This one will always be my favorite of his, just because of the theme and the colors and the sound and the characters. And I mean, again, like I said, every time I watch it, I see something different. Like this time, also the first I watched it tonight. I forgot that there was when she's in the cab going to the academy, and you see the trees, the forest. There's a shadow, which I thought was like, when you do shadow puppets on the wall, it kind of looked like a rabbit. And I thought it was a rabbit, but now I'm wondering if it was a ram, meaning the devil, meaning Lucifer, that she sees the ram in the forest before she even gets there. But because I've seen this movie so many times, originally I thought that was rabbit ears because I was like, innocent kid watching it for the first time, and now I'm like, wait, those are ram horns. That means something totally different. So, and also I could be wrong because that could just be a coincidence that is a shadow that maybe doesn't mean anything. I don't know. So again, there's certain things.
With the shadows, another one, and I've just noticed that Omaha John mentions it as well. The scene, with the witch behind the curtain and the like. Yeah, and the heavy breathing and stuff, like that's a really cool shot.
It is
very creepy.
But like
also it is kind of reminiscent of summer camp or sleepovers, where you're in a house that you're not used to. Yeah,
and the way the like curtain is like almost moving but not moving, but then you can see the shadow. Like like when you were really little, you're like scared, it's like people not wanting to look under the bed, or like not wanting to pull the curtains open and shit like that. And that's like kind of the vibe it was giving. Like you're like, don't go anywhere near there, because
what's behind the curtain, like
it's gonna be bad. You know what I mean? It's gonna be bad. Yeah,
so it's also like when your window curtains move, but they're not open, like the windows aren't open, so it's like, why is that moving? I remember as a little kid, I had such imagination, but also like I would see things that weren't there. Also, when you wake up from a very intense dream or a nightmare, the things that you see when you open your eyes, they're called tracers, and it's basically things that come in between dream and real life. And some people swear that those are demons or whatever, ghosts.
Not to be confused with floaters.
Floaters are just stuff in your eyeballs. That's just debris in your eyeballs. Could be also the beginnings of a cyst. So always get your eyes checked every year, because I have plenty of floaters. Also, I have grit underneath my eye. The eye line, because of years of mascara and stuff. So, but the thing that the tracers are interesting, because I still get them. So when I wake up, I swear I see spiders on the wall. There's no spiders there. Like there's just certain things you see depending on your dream.
Have you done, girl? Like I'm like, I don't get tracer. I'm like, you're like,
I will tell you right now.
Like, I don't see what.
I'll tell you right now. If you're
what
on,
is this magical?
You two are not
that I don't get to experience.
If you were on, any of you listening or watching this is not an ad, but I will say, if you're on any of the GLP-1 shots, get ready, buckle up, because you're gonna have some very vivid nightmares and dreams, because it's messing with some of the chemicals in your brain. Also, if you're on ADHD medication and you change brands or you go up too fast a dose, buckle up.
The only time I've ever had hallucinate, like kind of like crazy dreams like that, was like I think when I went on Zoloft when I was like 19 years old. Like
That'll do it.
I take GLP. I've taken it, and that does nothing to me. So I'm
It just
totally fine.
depends. I think everybody's different. I think that's when you like have those. I don't know if Australia is allowed to do this, but in America, we have pharmacy ads as commercials all the time, and they'll just rip through those side effects real fast.
Oh yeah.
We don't advertise drugs on television.
Yeah, we're a horrible country that does. So like, if you slow down those side effects,
and it's like, and it's you may experience side effects like death, and it's like death.
Yeah. It's not just death. I remember
we get the booklet.
You may experience bleeding from your eyes, and then like
suicidal
in the most
thought,
like embarrassing way possible. But you know what? It also, it might improve your migraines.
Yeah, it's like you're basically going to lose 60 pounds, but you're going to have homicidal rage. So get ready. Also, you might see things that aren't there, and yeah, and when you sneeze, you might bleed from your eyes. That's just little things, like that. That's why I love. That's another genre of horror films I love is pharmaceutical side effects horror films, because we're still in an era where drugs are just. I mean, our FDA has gone down in strictness since we've had a certain president.
If there's something in life that has made me like skeptical of like pharmaceutical like industry and
well, also when I was in college,
is those commercials. Like I'm just like,
let me tell you something about the pharmaceutical industry. When I was in college, to learn extra money, I did sign up as a test subject.
That's
for
crazy.
many of those drugs.
Did you get paid well at least?
You get paid very well, but the problem is it's very strict on what you can eat. Or I had one that was a sleep deprivation drug that I went on because I thought it would help me study. And all it did was give me massive migraines. Also, I broke one of my teeth in the back because I guess I was clenching my jaw too much when I was awake. And I did start to see things out of the corner of my eyes. And that's just because your brain needs time to decompress every night. You can't just stay up for indefinitely because it will make you go crazy. But also there's chemicals that will be released in your brain that will make you go crazy because you're not resting. So I did that. I did weight loss drugs. Yeah, I did weight loss drugs.
Sleep.
I did weight loss drug tests that were like literally just extreme laxatives or extreme speed or both. That was not great. And then I did one that was supposed to be for asthma that I'm not sure what it was, but I couldn't taste certain things for like 6 months. Like it fucked up my taste buds. So and also they're not that strict as their test subjects.
Not worth it to me. Like,
well, I will say I think I was kind of into the lore of it all because Firestarter, that book by Stephen King, but also the movie, her parents were both subjects in like pharmaceutical things, and then they gave birth to a kid that could do telekinesis, and I was like, oh wait, maybe I'll get
Spider-Man. Okay, like
this is the problem. This is a problem when you're a comic book reader in the 90s and you're in college and you're stupid. You think, hey, maybe I'll get a cool superpower. No, you just get headaches a lot and then you just break your teeth. That's basically what happens. So, and they're not that stringent of who their test subjects are. So when you see, oh, this has been tested on, 3,000 people, some of those people you're supposed to put on the questionnaire that you haven't just gotten off of a drug trial or you're not currently on another. But we had my roommate was on 3 at the same time that she should not have done at the same time. And also a lot of, people that are, let's just say, super needing money, but they're not college students. So let's say maybe the unhoused or maybe people that have been kicked out of their house, whatever. They may be on other things or so you don't have like this pristine control group. It's literally just broke people wanting money are the control group. And then sometimes they'll do prisoners. Sometimes they'll do like, I think not death row people, but
other things. Like, do they check like existing conditions and like?
Yeah, but they don't test that. So it's up to the person filling out the questionnaire to tell the truth or not. So, they do a blood test so they can sort of see what's in your system for sure if they really care. But that's kind of the extent. They won't go into your mental background. They won't go into your drug use background. So, because they just want people for their study. And sometimes, I don't want to be jaded here, but a lot of studies are fudged, you know, to meet the $1 billion requirement to pass the FDA, and the FDA requirements here in this country are very much lower than Europe. So I don't know, but when I'll just say I'm not sure if that's affected me. I'm not sure if that's affected me long term, but I love a movie that does delve into that. And there's so many horror films that delve into those things, but this one's not. She doesn't, I don't think she takes any pill Alice in Wonderland style in this Alice in Wonderland type movie where she goes into
she drinks, she's given wine, and she's obviously drugged at some point. And then like the old lady who was at the beginning, she was like giving off kind of like Good Witch Glinda vibes, but she's
I know, I noticed that too.
But she's not good. She like eats something and then drinks something when they're like behind the curtain or whatever, when they like see her, like, and she's like, get rid of her, just get rid of her. So
that's like Final Girl 101. If you're worried about being killed, maybe don't drink the sketchy wine that you're offered.
Don't drink or eat
like
anything.
They were also like very nosy. Like that one girl was just like, look, and I counted that, like, I hear them with the steps and they're doing this thing, and I was like, lady, I was like, you're learning to dance, just go to bed. Like just get your rest. Like, what are you doing? Like, okay,
you know what it reminds me?
So it reminds me around at night, like big freaking deal. Like, I'm going to bed. Like, sorry.
So it reminds me of
wake her up, and she's like, wake up, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, like.
Also, you would think they'd be tired.
I've been dancing all day. Like,
I know, I would be tired. Like, I would not need an Advil PM in that school. I'd be ready to go to bed. But I will say, if I was in a new place and I was young, and this is an era where there's no TV, there's no streaming, there's no video games. So they're like probably hungry for excitement and mystery. So they're probably just wanting to investigate this area, like Nancy Drew style. I remember when we did church lock-ins and I was at a church I'd never been to before, I would go ghost hunting in churches all the time as like an 11-year-old. So I understand that initial excitement of being in a new place. But also, if you're worried or scared, you don't walk towards the scary noises. You walk away from, but that's horror 101.
She was like lost in like the creepy, weird fun house, like drug dream. Like, and I was like, why are you investigating? Like, just go to bed. Like, what are you doing?
I always joke that if there was a new Scooby-Doo character and it was me, I'd be the one that'd be like, can we just go? Can we just leave? Can I just walk Scooby and then we just leave? Like, we don't have to investigate all of this stuff, but that's the whole point of the movie is you have to go to the scary noises to investigate, or else. And Alice in Wonderland did that. You know, Alice, she went towards all the weird shit. She didn't have to join that tea party.
Yeah,
she didn't have to talk to the.
Was pretty bold. She was just like.
She's like, I'm gonna find out what's going on.
I don't want to board at the school like a 10-year-old.
Also, I think if they were nice to her when she initially rang the doorbell in that rainstorm, we wouldn't have had this movie. But because they were so weird and didn't let her in, and also that girl like ran past her when she tried to like get in, like I feel like that set the tone of, well, what the fuck? Why didn't they let me in during this rainstorm?
Turn the iris.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention the wallpaper in that first apartment. So her friend, her apartment. I was like, okay, what set design was this? Because that first apartment.
It was a real big juxtaposition between like the black and the red evil, and then her room was like all like,
that
like a
wallpaper
little
was great.
sanctuary.
I know. Anyway, I miss wacky wallpaper. You don't really see it in movies and TV shows anymore. Like maybe that's a thing in the 70s.
Wallpaper is like, that's pretty cool. Like I'm into it. I back.
Yeah. And again, the set design on this, all these places I would want to live in, maybe not all the rooms.
No.
But definitely that first apartment was great.
I am not living in the dormitory like hostel with the like black with the like red curtain thing. Absolutely not.
Yeah, what is your backdrop, Renee?
It is
creepy breathing thing. No.
Is that the
It's the dormitory. Someone recreated it.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, that was a weird dormitory. And they're all sleeping on the floor.
Right there. Absolutely not. Like a whole bunch of beds and people and like no red light. Like
why is there curtains around it? Like
no,
because they're on stage.
The guy like pops up for a second and like
and he goes
lies on him for a minute. And I was like, is this gonna have a romance? But no.
You know what? I remember when I first
But
saw
no,
that.
because the other girl was kind of hurt because she was like, I guess she went after him and he wasn't into her.
Yeah.
Like, there was that
Yeah,
one
and it
part.
could have turned into like a YA romance if the music was different and the lighting was different. It could just be like that could have been Bunhead. That could have been like
that is a whole other movie, Bonnie. Like a totally different movie.
I do like to think of like certain horror films would be great as rom-coms, like The Shining as a rom-com, or like, you know, like it's just a frustrated writer. It's just a little boy
Here's
trying to find a
Johnny.
friend.
It's like a whole different Here's Johnny, like completely
Yeah, like if you change the music in the trailer,
and
like
the inflection. Like,
yeah. And Suspiria could just be like Fame, like the movie Fame, but like, you know, happier or fancier or whatever. It is interesting though, because they do have that young guy, and you do think, oh, there's gonna be some sort of romantic thing. But like Renee said,
because the girl who got killed, apparently like they were spending time together, and then like the other girl like threw herself at him, but he wasn't about her.
Like he was like,
but then the new girl, he was about the new girl. Like I don't know.
Because I feel like he was like.
I think that was a distraction storyline.
Yeah. Well, he's.
Oh no, that was
He's there to like spy on whoever's the troublemaker at the time, and so when she came in, it was like stick to her, be nice to her, like see what she's up to. Like, because he was like, they said, you know, he can't pay his room and board, and so he has to do all these chores for the lady.
Yeah,
so,
like 1,001 things for her. Yeah.
So he was probably like being forced to like follow them and like be spy or something like that.
Yeah, and again, like being surrounded by that red curtain, it just really implies they are the stage, they are the play, they are being watched at all times.
Yeah, it felt there was a couple of like times where they were on something and then they like panned up to the staircase. They were walking down the staircase. It felt very much like I was like, oh, I can see this on a Broadway play. Like I could see this done in a play.
Well, even the scene where she's the girl's trying to break in, like at the
you know,
like, and you see like the different levels, and it's kind of like the floors and it's like it's kind of like it's actually more than one, because you don't really know how many stories the building is.
Yeah,
no.
You just know it's big, like it feels like a big hall almost. But then when they show that, you like see these different floors. It's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, it does feel like a stage play in some instances, or like a ballet in itself. Like we said earlier, it does feel like it's a ballet within a ballet within a ballet. But also you're not sure who the audience is supposed to be.
The Russian dolls are
nesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, the nesting dolls for sure. Yeah, it's also layered in the sense of, because it ends so abruptly, you do wonder if the whole thing was real or not. If it was a dream, if it was someone coming out of a coma, if it was, you know, not, or maybe it's the next stage from life to after you die, you're in this weird nether stage of, is this, you know, purgatory? Was this whole movie purgatory for this girl? And then the ending is the next stage that she's walking into. Like, you don't know what's real, what's not. So, and there's been so many different interpretations of that ending because of the way it's so abrupt of what does that actually
there's
mean.
like flames all of a sudden and then the credits, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah, you don't know. Maybe they were all dead. Maybe it's purgatory. Maybe it's hell. Maybe it's,
I don't know. She's running away.
Yeah.
She was on her way.
Yeah. No, I love this movie. I think if anybody watching this right now has never seen Argento's movies, this is a good primer. And then go to the next, just go down watch the trilogy, because it's not a trilogy in the sense that the story connects. It's a trilogy on theme. Gotcha. So, you know, you can watch the other movies that this is connected to, or you can watch Deep Red. You can watch, opera. You can watch, there's so many, but watch his older films. I wouldn't say watch his newer ones, because I don't think that's indicative to his style. I mean, it's still very much his style, but I think the older movies that he made in the 70s and early 80s really depict his vision well. And the soundtracks are great. The acting's great. It's just, you really can't go wrong. Like, it's one of those, he's one of those filmmakers I'll always love. Anyway.
Loved it. It just transports you to wherever it is. Like, and you know, Jenna said, you know, she didn't have to look at her phone. That's exactly what it's like. I know a film, you know.
I didn't even like want to look at my phone, and I was so annoyed with the commercials. I was like,
when you can just immerse yourself entirely, and there's nothing else even, you know, whether it's physically or like, you know, in your mind, even you're just like, you're fixated on it. That's like the best feeling ever. And I feel like, yeah, Argento's really good at that, at like getting you in. And even in a weird way, he's really good at getting you to accept violence in a pretty way, like kind of thing. Like some of the violence in his films is quite extreme, but the way it's presented with the drama and the operatic kind of vibe and the color vibe, you kind of like it doesn't feel as like as not serious, but I guess it's like it takes on this otherworldly thing where it doesn't feel like it's this kind of as bad. Maybe I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah, and also, I mean, I would say I agree that's very dreamlike, very not realistic, but also the way in this film and all of his other films, the way that people are killed, the way that people are tortured are so unique and different and unexpected and creepy and not gore for gore's sake, not not jump scare bullshit, not stuff that you would be like, "Oh yeah, that's how you would kill someone." No, it's crazy things. Like there's a I won't name the film right off the bat because I don't want to spoil anything for Jenna, but there is a scene with an eye that's being kept open so that eye can see the torture that's happening to the person that they love. But that's the way it's being kept open is a painful way to keep eyes open. And
I feel like I've seen that in other movies as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say what movie it is because I want you to watch movies and not know what's
Okay,
coming.
yes, please don't ruin it. I'm a non-trailer person. So.
Yeah, and that's why I don't want to say it in the comments. Don't say what it is, but I think because the way that he depicts violence and the creative, this sounds like a psychopath the way I'm talking, but the creative ways that he kills people. Because I watch so much horror, I think the thing that disappoints me is the horror that I can predict. So if I know how someone's going to be killed, or I know a jump scare is coming, or I know it's going to be a certain kind of death, I kind of tune out. But if it's a horror film that's doing really something creative for the first time, or messing with your expectations and anticipations in a way that's creative and interesting, then I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. Instead of like, I've watched so many horror films, I can't remember how everybody dies in every single horror film, unless it's like Final Destination, because those are creative, because that's the whole point of Final Destination, is to kill people in unique ways that you don't expect. But I think with his movies, with this movie in particular, there's just so many curves and things thrown at you as an audience member that you just don't expect. And I think that's why I love this film, is you can't predict what's going to happen. You just don't know. Every turn, every corner, every door you open is going to be a different experience. And that's why it's that way, is because they want you to feel like the main character, where you don't know what's going to happen, as opposed to a lot of other films that you can kind of predict. So I like a movie you can't predict. And I like a movie that's beautiful to watch, even if you don't have the sound off. In any language, this movie is great. And I think that's why I love this movie, is it's a beautiful nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a nice little perfect wrap up right there.
It is.
Soundbite.
Little bow on. What about you, Jenna?
I mean, I loved it. It's great. I now am like, oh, I don't know if I like the other one more now. So I don't know. It's kind of changed my feelings on it, but I'm really glad that we covered it. I'm glad that we watched it and got to talk about it. And I can't wait for the next one. Throw all the movies my way.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna throw you some, especially if you want to see some that are like more about color and like things that are stills. I rewatched a couple of weeks ago The Color of Pomegranates, and that is a film that is basically shot like photography. You can only find it, Jenna, on the Internet Archive. It's very rare. So, but if you go to Internet Archive, they have a copy there that's official and by the director.
Okay.
So you can find it there. But it's like from 1969, and it's everything in it is visual. So it's kind of like you just sit there. There's very little dialogue, and and watching that, I was just like, wow, people like. Things were different, you know what I mean? Like, it's what you were saying earlier about like something becoming more than just that, like an actual art piece. And that's what that film's like. It's like the staging and everything that's how it's set up is like, it's a mixture of like photography, theater, music, like, and just like art as well. There's a whole lot going on. So yeah, if you have time and you feel like you want to watch something a bit different, definitely suggest you have a watch of it. It's definitely worth it, just for the color and the compositions of the scenes, the way it's like, it's just visually just a really gorgeous thing to watch. Like, feels like you're meant to be in like an art gallery watching it or something. So yeah, but yeah, I've been doing this whole revisiting of all of this stuff, and it's kind of, yeah, revived my spirit a little bit and making me go back and
Yeah,
watch
it really made me want to be creative. Like, I was like, oh, this is like so good. Like, and everything is like, it's done by all these artists. It's just, it was a cool feeling to watch, and yeah, it's great. I'm into
yeah,
it.
just gives you that, like, yeah, like a new, I don't know, it's kind of like a new little like injection of, like, I don't know, I just, after like watching this stuff again, like I've been like, oh wow, like, and you could do this, like, it just, your creative juices just start to flow more. Definitely. But yeah, I love this film. So yeah, I mean, the only possible ever downfall I could ever have is that it would, the ending, I could have had just a bit more. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's kind of the perfect ending too. So I feel like it's really hard for me to say anything bad about the film. Like, I just really like it, and I've always really liked it. So yeah, I think, yeah, for me, it's just, there's so much. It's just like the mixture of the color, sound, and like the idea of just like, this kind of whole female like hierarchy, and just like, then you've got this kind of rebellious girl going up these like strict kind of like women. And I kind of like, yeah, there's so much like going on. And I feel like, just from what we've talked about today, like, there's so many different levels of dissecting this film that you can go down. And I feel like you could just keep going down wormholes in every direction. Like, and I love it when a film like does that to you, and that it just ignites loads of conversation, and just like people can have such diverse like um you know interpretations or reactions to things.
Yeah, it's also the type of movie where, when you really daydream about it, it does feel like, I mean, it's not a mistake that the school has Escher in the name of it, like an Escher painting of stairs that go in all different directions, and you're not sure where they're ending and where they start. And that building feels like there's endless rooms, and there's endless places to go in each room, and each color, and each adventure. And that's kind of like how dreams and nightmares work, where you're in a world that doesn't exist in reality. So you can open a door to a totally different world, or go up and down stairs to a totally different realm. And that's why this movie to me is also special, in the sense of endless possibilities of rooms. But it's a movie that, if I think a movie is good, is when you're done watching it, you're adding to it in your brain. Oh, what would have happened if they opened this door? What would have happened if the ending had been more of like, you're slowly coming out of a dream instead of abruptly coming out of a dream? Or what would have happened if this character didn't die? Or what would have happened if this room was a whole different room? Like, there's another movie that's very visual that I love, that's an underrated horror film called The Cell, with
That's a great movie.
with Jennifer Lopez.
It's got Jennifer Lopez in it.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Screams.
I haven't seen it.
Don't watch this.
We should watch that for this podcast, because I think you would love it. And the whole premise is
you would like it, maybe, Jen, because it's got
you would love it.
It's got a psychological, like, it's all psychological. So it's essentially like, there's a serial killer, and they're trying to figure out like how to, what's going on and why and all that kind of stuff. And they've come up with this new, like, I guess, what did you call it? It's like a new kind of,
it's like sleep. It's like a
don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Okay, well,
it's the main character is like, she's J-Lo is a psychiatrist type, and she's investigating it, and like, we want to see what's going on in this dude's brain.
But it is visually stunning. So not to give, we won't give anything away, but I'm just saying
it's stunning. But yeah,
if you saw, I
like to walk into a movie as blind as possible.
Okay, so I think you should watch The Cell. I think we should talk about it in a future podcast episode, because there's so many different layers to it.
I've got a list of like 5 or like 10 movies now. So
yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure where this sells streaming right now because I have it on DVD, but I haven't watched it streaming in a while.
Yeah,
But
I'm not sure if it's streaming, but yeah, you could probably
it's
get it
really,
on.
really good. Yeah, and it's also visually, the storytelling visually is so
Yeah.
distinct and color, and also there's David Lynch vibes in that as well. But I would say it's a movie that when it first came out, and I saw it in the theater, and then I saw it in the theater a few times, and then obviously it eventually goes on cable, DVD, whatever. But I just remember when I first saw it, I kept adding to it after it ended because I wanted certain things to be explained that weren't, or certain things to go even deeper that weren't. But I loved it so much, I kept thinking about it. And I do think that is a good quality of a film that's cinematic, that's visually enticing, that has good plot, interesting, complex characters, things you're not expecting, and visuals that will stay in your mind forever. I think that is good filmmaking. The essence of it is when you, decades later, you're still thinking about it. Even if you haven't watched it recently, decades later, you're thinking about it. So like that to me is a perfect example of another movie that, again, that was done. When was that? Was that the 90s or early aughts or something? I can't remember when that came out. Maybe 2000 or 1999. But it was, you know, it was pretty long. It was, I hate to say it was a while ago because it doesn't seem like a while ago for me, but yeah, it was pretty different. I don't think there was any other movie like it. Like it really shocked a lot of viewers because, you know, we're used to J-Lo and rom-coms at that point, and to see her in something like that, it was interesting.
I would never have picked her as like somebody who I thought is a great actress, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
she was really good.
I was shocked, and I really liked Vincent D'Onofrio at the time, so I thought he.
Yeah, Vincent's great.
Okay, we could talk about it when I watch it.
We'll do
Yeah.
If
Don't ruin it.
I won't.
But
I won't.
yeah, another time. But yeah, this film, amazing. And yeah, I'm just glad we're all back.
Me too. I'm glad that this is what we decided to pick after not. I mean, we've all had busy lives and stuff, but I'm so glad that we got to get together and talk about one of my favorite movies, but also to talk about it with maybe someone who hasn't seen it 200 fucking times like me. It's kind of nice to like talk to people also who look at it in a different way. Because Renee, both of you brought up things that I didn't even know. Yeah, you brought up like your interpretations, but also your thoughts on it are things I didn't even think about. So you taught me something new about one of my favorite movies. So thank you.
No, it's good. I love it chatting because I'm like always see something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just like, oh, I feel like I've just had a burst of like, you know, when a dog does the zoomies, that's what I feel like.
And also thank you to the people in our comments that left a lot of really interesting insight about the film as we were talking. A lot of people brought up Panico, which again, that's the documentary of Argento and how he really researches his films before he makes them, and all the stuff he does behind the scenes. But also just thanks to people, you know, chiming in what they thought about the movie and other movies that we should be watching. And we appreciate you commenting because, you know, the three of us could talk for 24 hours straight without an audience and still be happy. But I'm glad that people are also watching and having fun.
Tune in, yeah.
100%.
And speaking of that as well, like I was talking to the girls and I was saying that we've now set up our own Patreon. So if anyone wants to come and join us there, you just look up the Night Shift podcast with Renee Ruin. It'll come up. And we're not really doing it to make any money, to be honest. It's purely just to cover the cost of streaming, to be honest. So we're just like, if you want to come and support, come and support. Won't say no. But yeah, one of the very special mention, because our first ever Patreon,
first ever
Patrick Fogarty, who's a really, really cool guy who was originally from Australia. I believe he lives in Canada now. Anyway, yeah, and he follows I think all three of us. And he actually sent me videos of him watching Goblin playing Suspiria like a couple of weeks ago. So he sent some video over of that, which was very cool.
Very cool.
So yeah, if you want to come and support, please do. It all helps to go towards bringing us back as often as we can. And look, we're going to be back probably next month, if not close.
Did we pick a movie yet? Did you guys pick a movie yet or not?
We did.
We
It's
did.
going to be another movie with beautiful color. Mandy.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Also, it's my favorite Nick Cage movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but it's Nicolas Cage who he brings me joy. So
yeah, I would say that my favorite Nick Cage movie was Valley Girl for decades, and then Mandy came out, and I'm like, okay, now it's Mandy, then Valley Girl, and then there's like the third position always changes. I think Raising Arizona is still in there, but like, yeah, Mandy is such a beautifully shot movie. The soundtrack's amazing. The storyline is crazy.
I've only watched it once
Yeah,
right after it came out, so I'm excited to watch it again.
I only watched it maybe twice when it came out.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
I just remember it being like 2 movies in one, but I want to watch it. I want to write my notes. It was really fun to make notes again. I was like, I miss this.
I know.
I actually have a notepad dedicated to every note that I'm taking with this. So, because then I go back and write little letterbox reviews and stuff. So, thank you, thank you for doing this. I'm excited for Mandy. I'll wear my Mandy shirt because every movie I have a shirt for. Where's the Suspiria of this? But I have a Mandy one too. So
amazing. Amazing. No, it's been amazing, and I'm definitely looking forward to coming back for Mandy. It's so good to be with the girls again. Like I said, having like the juices flowing again has just been great. So yeah, I feel like we're gonna go down like a rabbit hole of different films, and I'm gonna send Jenna 1,000 films. So she's got
yeah, Jenna, I'll send that to you. I'll send you my list too, but also those that are watching this later on, maybe not live, if you have films that you think that we should review or talk about, leave them in the comments, but also go back and watch all of our older episodes because we've covered so many great horror films, both new and older ones. We've interviewed amazing female filmmakers like Toby from, the Addams Family, like
Anna Miller,
Jennifer Reeder. Like we have talked to so many amazing, and I hope we continue that. And also the our lovely Addams Family came out with a new movie recently we might want to talk about. So I think that there's more to come for sure from the 3 of us, but we also love talking to filmmakers that make some of the best horror films now too. So please go back and check out our older episodes because they're definitely fun, especially when we get to interview, the people that made Love Witch and people that made like, Hellbender and like all these movies that we freaking love that are newer movies that are, they may not be from the 70s, but they are indicative. I would say Love Witch definitely reminded me of a 1970s horror film, and that's a modern film. Yeah, and that really delves into color. So if you like horror films with color, watch and witchy movies, definitely check out Love Witch. But we've done a really great job on this podcast over the years of not only chatting about some of the more unique horror films, but talking to the filmmakers who make them. So be sure to check out those episodes too, but more to come for sure.
More to come.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Is there any plugs for anyone while we're here?
No, I mean, my link is, we all have our links up there. So that's where you can find all of our stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and check out, we're all really creative. So, check out our links on our link tree, but also we post a lot of stuff on our personal Instagrams as well. So check those out and see what we're up to. And
we're pretty much all the same usernames across all platforms. Yeah, pretty much. So it's just not very hard.
And that's how I know what they're up to, as I follow their Instagram. So like, that's the only way I know what you guys are doing. And then I'll send you messages going, oh my God, that's so cool. So like so thank you for the most recent thing I went to was a roadkill dating game done with puppets. And I did a video up on my Instagram, and that's from the roadkill TikTok and Instagram. It's literally just a roadkill fox that's a puppet that does daily affirmations. So it's kind of funny, but also creepy.
Usually when you post something, I know it's going to be kind of quirky. Like you're at like some kind of weird show or like a weird like bookstore or something.
It's always about haunted puppets or haunted houses or something goth or something weird. And because I collect, haunted dolls, haunted puppets, and Ouija boards. So there's always going to be something like that. But I also repost a lot of my friends' projects. I know I repost a lot of you guys' stuff because, you have great videos and photos and movies and all the writing that you're doing. And I'm such a big fan of both of you.
I was gonna say, can we have a shout out? Sorry, Jenna, but can we have a shout out for Jenna's bust down there? Because seriously, girl, you brought the bust today.
Yeah, you brought the cleavage, girl.
I was like
I have accidental cleavage, but
Bonnie's like talking, and all I can see is like,
I know. See, this is what I need anytime I'm talking is just have a video or a photo of Jenna in the background or next to me, so I seem interesting just because there's that.
Yeah, I mean,
well, it wasn't my intention for the show. It happened.
Yeah,
to be
but I love that you brought
the first shirt I grabbed.
The
it felt
girls,
witchy.
you know what I mean?
See, if there had been a stained glass window of you at my church, then there would be a lot more church going. Not to be blasphemous, but
be like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
the blessed saint of Jenna.
Thank you.
Oh my god. Anyway, thank you everyone. It's been so good. We'll be back with Mandy. So keep an eye on the Instagram, on our individual ones as well. As soon as we have a date, you will know about it.
Yay!
Amazing. Bye everyone.
Bye.
See you next time.